let's have a look here. Okay, just hang in with me a little bit longer. I'm going to work on the astrodoodle a bit. Okay, give me a second. Okay. Greetings, good evening. I see a couple folks are there. Hi. Stop. Hello, Necessary Truths. Miss you too. Okay, thank you. I'll keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Necessary Truths. Let me just check in, let everyone know that we're here. So, let's have a look. Greetings, people. It's been a while, and it is a Sunday evening over here in sunny Las Vegas. It's starting to warm up, even though it's just March. It's more like spring. It's like summer in some places. So, anyway, I'm here. I haven't really done all the things that you're supposed to do as with a YouTube channel to make it prosper. The notifications don't go out. I haven't sent out the constant contact. That was a very good idea. I just didn't get to it. Maybe I should have done. Maybe I should have postponed it. Anyway, I'm doing what I can. Okay. For now, see what happens. I'd like to go over here to the stage for a moment. I'd like to talk about what's happening up in the planets before we take any readings. Hello. I can see over there. Hello. Let's see. Ivona. Okay. Could you let us know how things are going, Ivona, with the pets and everything, please? Auntie Murda. Greetings. Welcome. Love Triber. Of course. Hello. Necessary Truths. Of course. Hello. And I'll check the PayPal in a while, but I believe you. And Fritterly. Good evening. Fritterly, there you go. Now, I think it was last week. Well, I don't know if some of you folks remember Ubasti's Purr. She visited last week. She goes by a new name now, I Love Tarot, on her YouTube channel. Anyway, let me have a look here. I just want to show this thing to you. It's really quite special what we have in the heavens right now. And might as well make the most of it. As usual, as you know, a lot of my charts are full of red ink, but tonight it's a little bit less than average. I'm going to connect a few harmonious energy vibes here. And here, I forgot to put the moon, of course, duh. Okay, so at this very moment in time, we're just coming out of the full moon, where the moon is in Libra and the sun is in Aries. So that means a full opposition by nature. And when you get the full opposition by nature in the natural houses of relationship, first house, the seventh house, the house of self, the house of other, the house of very significant other, some of you might be sensing that relationship dynamics are at a point of critical mass right now, whether it's between yourself and a pet, a child, a companion, someone where you're sharing information, relating with directly in chosen ways that are typically healthy. This would represent, looks to me like a very healthy, chosen type of relationship dynamic. This is what's called a grand trine. It's a really powerful alignment of planets that typically represent harmony, strength through harmony. And all of these particular aspects here, the Gemini energy, the Libra, and the Aquarius, those are all very harmonious by element. They are air elements, and they call that in astrology. And so, I don't know, you might be feeling this in a kind of an intellectual way regarding communications with relationships. What is the purpose of the relationship? Is it benevolent for both parties in all ways? And are the communications happening in a way that are very, let's say, I would say technologically advanced? For example, I spend a fair bit of time on YouTube and email and things connecting with people. And that's how I actually run the YouTube channel. And I know and understand very clearly the sweet side of having a YouTube channel, but I'm also aware of there's the shadow side. So it's all happening simultaneously. We also have some sweet sextiles here between the Aquarius Aries energy, okay, and the Aries Gemini energy, Aries of course being the fire sign here. So I don't know if you can see this, but it looks like a kite. That's called a kite, and it's a really strong formation. It tends to amplify this aspect here of the polarity. In this case, it's the polarity of relationships. Over here it would probably be money. Over here it would probably be learning and wisdom and higher consciousness, so on and so on. So, okay, let's just get straight to the red ink. It's not so scary. It's the full polarity opposition between the moon and the sun. So anyone born on this particular date, they would be called a full moon baby, because they're born with the sun in Aries, the moon in Libra. So sometimes those people who are born as full moon babies are very, let's say, conscientious or very aware about relationship dynamics in their life. And the, let's say, the difference between yourself and the other person, and how you need them and how they need you. Like it's when you get a polarity like this, it's a very valuable gift, because it gives you, in this position, for example, the sun energy, the chance to get a really clear reflection, a very undistorted, very clear, direct, open reflection of yourself back from a significant other. And of course, it ping-pongs as well. So the other person in the relationship dynamic has the chance to enjoy very, very specific, accurate, pure, undistorted reflections back from the person with whom they are relating. So this is a very advantageous time right now to take a deep and, let's say, sincere look at your relationships. Exactly what is going on. You and a pet, you and a mother, you and a child, you and a relative, you and a friend, you and a business associate, all of it. You have to figure out what exactly is going on here, and what is the purpose, why, who are you, who am I, and how can we make the best of it? Over here, this fabulous energy is an indication that there is, let's say, golden opportunity here, but it can only happen when you have very direct, clear, undistorted dynamics in the relationship. And it's actually sometimes quite hard to do that, because we've got some very challenging aspects over here, which are actually, in terms of the, like the, I would say the sacred geometry, are quite beautiful, even though they're very challenging. Okay, that's this hard square here, and this hard square here. So there's a lot of symmetry. I don't know if you can see that. There's the kite. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. Also, because some of the extra planets over here, like Mercury conjoined Neptune, we've got Uranus over here in Taurus, we do have this very, very pointed yod. It's called a yod. It's the finger of God. It's an inescapable kind of aspect where it's kind of like you might feel as though you're being squeezed through a funnel, like when they're making icing on a fancy cake, and lots of squiggles and things where they put the icing and they use an icing squirter. If you think of the icing squirter as all the energy that has to be focused through a narrow, highly specialized tube to come out the other side, if you don't know what you're doing, it turns into a big mess. So what happens with a finger of God, with a yod like this, it's a very forceful dynamic, which in this case forces the parties involved to take a really clear view of themselves and each other in the relationship, and literally ask exactly what is going on here. We need to know what's going on. And there's no point in suppressing the energy, because it's just going to make things worse. So anything that's bad or very difficult, for example, if there's a lot of lies, treachery, betrayals, treason, abuse happening in the relationship, it needs to be exposed, it needs to be dealt with. If there's a lot of, let's say, incongruity between what is wholesome for not only the relationship, but how your relationship has value in the world around you, and what is exactly constitutes the substance and the value of your relationship. Where is the value in this relationship, and how can you bring that value into use for humanity? Okay, so that's kind of what I'm sensing here, and that's for everybody. That's for the whole of planet Earth. Okay, now let me do something else here. Okay, let me just twiddle a few knobs and dials. And, oh, there's a few more people. I didn't see that. Hello, everybody. Oh, hold on. Give me a second. I got to check through the chat here. Hello, Path. And hello, Queen of Water down there in Australia. Good to see you. Hello, Elizabeth. Wow, you found it. Well done. Well done. Layin Lazen. What's that? Will Riyadh come back to me? Faster while I'm leaving rising. It looks like a spaceship with boosters going off. Exactly. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, that's another way you could look at it. Because all these energies work together simultaneously in one way or another. Got to make the most of it, don't you? I'm just going to tuck this over here for a second. I want to check in personally, sometimes like I do. Here we are. I think I said hello already. Good evening and welcome. Hi, folks. Thanks for being here. So we're going to do some live mini readings if anyone's interested. And all of a sudden, yay, Queen of Water pops up. Thank you, Queen of Water. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. I just basically pull out a Post-it note for your name and we get in line. I can handle a few readings tonight, see how it goes. So yeah, if anyone wants a live mini reading tonight, just go to the Super Chat button. That's a little button very close to where you type in comments. Press the button, it opens up a payment processor connected to YouTube through Google and things like that. Very straightforward. Otherwise, you can donate directly to Tarot Illumination through PayPal over here. You can, over here, there's the PayPal. I mean, you could go to the website, I guess, but actually, let me do that. Hold on. Okay, so for example, there's the website. There's tarotillumination.com, all right? And it's already set on the donate place. And it's just for, you know, for showing you what it looks like. But you go to the yellow button, you press donate, and that will open up the payment processor direct to Tarot Illumination. You have to understand that when you're doing Super Chat, it's great because it's happening live right there in real time. But I think YouTube takes about 30% of the donation, which is huge. And of course, I would love to, I feel like I deserve the whole donation if you're going to make a donation. So it's a little more complicated to go to the yellow button, but it can be done. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know. And there's a little email. You can send PayPal direct to that email, okay? Go PayPal, yes. alittlebookabout@yahoo. That's the email over there. Okay, let's get back. All right, so we're living in, for me personally, these are very specialized time periods in history. I'm old enough, I've been around the block enough times to notice patterns, cyclical patterns. And it started when I was very, very young, especially with the lunar cycles and lunar patterns. But now here I am decades later, and I'm still wondering about things more than ever before. And my particular interest is with the invisible planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, because, you know, for eons, humanity has been exposed to the visible planets. We've seen that since forever, pretty much, you know, in terms of the solar system. And hello, Maria, I see you. And so in ancient astrology, the little bits that I know is that they started with the basics: the sun, moon, then Mercury, it's very obvious, Venus, and then Mars, then Jupiter and Saturn. And the farther out you go in the solar system, the heavier the energy. Like Jupiter is the great benefic. It's associated with growth, abundance, and ever expanding opportunities and possibilities. But you take that too far and you end up with like a raging nutcase, or you're taking on too much debt, or you're overly confident and you take too many risks and you end up in deep trouble. That's just a tiny glimpse of Jupiter. And then Saturn is almost the contradictory energy of the great teacher, the great malevolent. Everything bad that happened in the universe, the ancient astrologers would blame it on the planets, just like I do. And when it's really bad, they blame it all on Saturn. Hello, Elizabeth. Yeah, I'll get you one. And everything worked that way up until about 150 years ago, when human population was expanding rapidly, knowledge, wisdom, and information was expanding rapidly, science, medicine, all of those things. And some of the astrologers absolutely determined that there must be more planets out there to explain some of the things that happen in human life experience that cannot be explained through Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, whatever I said, yeah. And they already had mythological names like Uranus and Neptune and Pluto. And it's like they were holding these names in reserve for when the planets would reveal themselves. And then with the invention of things like telescopes and radio telescopes and so on, they discovered Uranus. And in about the last 90 years, is about 120, last 100 years or so, they discovered Neptune. And then around 1930, they discovered Pluto. They could actually see these heavenly bodies moving around. So it helped a lot. I wasn't alive then, but ever since then, a lot of the astrology professionals have kind of rewritten everything to allow for more and more inclusion of the energies of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. The thing is, like the farther out you go in the solar system with the planets, the deeper the correlation to the soul here. Uranus is fairly recognizable. It represents change, liberation, freedom, desire for freedom, spontaneous knowledge, awakening, magic, obvious expression of miracles. Neptune goes into the world of the great beyond. Like, what's the difference between here and the great beyond? It's just perception. We have our physical bodies, and those pass away, and a lot of us believe that there's an afterlife. I happen to believe there's an afterlife and a before life. And then you go to Pluto, and when you go to Pluto, you're dealing with stuff that's so hard to understand, so hard to manage, and it's mostly to do with very, very raw primitive energies, the way it expresses in the life of human beings, to do with power, money, and control, sex, birth, death, at the deepest levels. And it's very hard for human beings to handle or manage Pluto energy. So if you look at your personal charts and you find where Pluto is, you want to look if there's a lot of red lines associated with your Pluto, be prepared for a bumpy ride. If you've got a lot of green lines, maybe you're reincarnated as a soul where you've done a lot of homework on yourself already, and you're here to share the really important things very, very deep down that you can share with the world. There's a couple people out there. There's one of them, his name is Mr. William Gates, and he is a Scorpio with a Jupiter in Leo and a Pluto in Leo. The Jupiter in Leo and the Pluto in Leo are combined, they're in conjunction. When you combine Jupiter and Pluto, it expands to great power. And when you have the hard square with Scorpio, it can mean, let's say, abuse of power, or amplification, or let's say, because when you have a square alignment in astrology, it can be very, very challenging, but through your challenges we grow. And this fellow that I was just talking about has these kind of aspects. And so you can see it in his life story so far, where he had access to great power and wealth, money, and control in a way that's very plutonic. It affects the masses. The one side of the equation is that he brought mass computers to the masses through his company. And at the other side, and that's wonderful, he literally changed the world, probably more than anyone else I know in my lifetime, when he brought computers into existence on a massive scale and brought their software into these little plastic boxes. It changed everything. I know we've had other big things like discovery of oil and outer space and cars and radios and TVs, and now we have the internet and YouTube and cryptocurrencies, digital currency, digital gold, things like that. That's fine, but a lot of what's happening on Earth today could not have happened without the influence of this Mr. Gates fellow. And I think some of us, I'm noticing that there's two sides to the story. There's the wonderful side of the story, which is the benefits that have been brought to humanity that we all, a lot of us, enjoy, in terms of like global telecommunications and the ability to manipulate information and share it. And at the same time, how can that energy be exploited? So you're seeing both sides of the story happening simultaneously. I don't want to go too deep into this because my personal opinions will get my channel shut down. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay? Fertility has Jupiter in Leo, but it's retrograde and in my 12th house. So it might be an indication that this is a chance in this lifetime to discover, perhaps in very, very painful, but very deep and very subtle, very hard ways to understand because of the 12th house, hidden enemies, where you might be, like your sense of strength, leadership, and courage might feel as though it's thwarted. Like, where is my energy? Where is my courage? Where is my glory? I'm an awesome, incredible human being, and yet certain aspects of life are obviously not working. And so you're going deep, deep, deep into the depth of the soul in this lifetime to be exposed to that stuff so you can have a chance to heal. You have to reveal it to heal it. All right, let me just go back to the stage a minute. I want to put up a couple of post-it notes here just to get things rolling forward a little bit. All right, let's start with, I think, necessary. Put one up a little earlier. Yeah. Oh, hello, cousin. Hello. Oh, I have to go check the PayPals. Hold on. Give me a second because I want to get checked in with wherever we are. So I've got to put up a post-it note here for Queen of Water. Okay, let's start there. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we got one there. And then we have one from, I think, Elizabeth Boucher came in and put something in the pot there. Yes, there's Elizabeth. And then Necessary Truth mentioned something in the PayPal, so I'll check there. And there's All Sun, there's Ivona, Elizabeth, and then it goes to, oh, I'm just checking the chats here, folks, so just chat amongst yourselves. Oh, doopy doopy doo. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to go over here and check the PayPals, because it probably will show up in the emails over here. And I'm running several monitors, but I don't have enough and I don't know how to split screens to do multiple tasks simultaneously. So I'm doing what I can with what I've got. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, I'm just checking in here, going through this. Oh yeah, okay. I see. Thank you, Necessary. That's great. Let me go back here. So that's Necessary Truth. And let me go check the note here. Hold on. Stay there. Hey TL, advice for all son's son. Okay. Brandon. We're all very worried about him and his future. Okay. Any advice from guides on what all sons should do regarding this would be greatly appreciated. Okay. So it's regarding Brandon, son of all son. Okay. I'll make a note here. Brandon, son of all son. Okay. We'll just see what comes up. You never know. Thank you. Let me keep going back. I have to check through my emails, so amuse yourselves. What do we got here? And we've got a donation from Mary Cam. Yes, I see that. Hello, Mary. I see your question in there, too. Let's see, Mary C. And the question is basically, what do I need to know? So that's like another way of saying, like, you know, hey, Tarot Illumination, what messages do you have for me tonight regarding the subject of what you need to know? Okay. I'll just make it simple. What do I need to know? Okay, we can direct to that one. No problem. And then I saw one more I saw over here. That'll probably be it for the night. Indigo Williams. Oh, okay. Hello. Give me a second. Thank you. No messages there, but from Dallas, Texas. Okay. Well, we'll deal with it when we get to your point. Don't worry, Indigo. Don't you worry. And thank you. Thank you very much for your sweet donation. Okay, that's probably going to be all I can handle. I'm a little bit below par these days, and just getting through one day at a time, like a lot of us, you know. So let's see what we can do. Oh, by the way, hold on a minute. I just wanted to show you something else. This is a kind of a interesting thing here I noticed. Let's put this over here. Bear in mind while I'm doing my clickety clicks. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Elizabeth wants her. Oh, I got to take a note of Elizabeth's birthday energy. Hold on. Give me a second. What is it? April 30th, 61. Okay. 30th, April 1961. Okay, it'll be like a little mini birthday reading in advance. So I'm going to tuck this over here for now. Let me bring out a deck here. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this over here. Tuck this over here. Cheers, by the way. Let me get set up here. We're more or less set up. What I wanted to show you is this interesting time period. As you know, it's been a very bumpy time when you look at the planets. I love to blame the planets for everything that's not working, and I also like to thank the planets when things are working. In February, we had Mercury retrograde for most of the month, and then it flipped. Now we're direct. Came into March. And when you have a scene like this where all the planets are moving direct, it's kind of like when you're going on a really big highway or a huge multi-lane inner suburban street system where there's lots of traffic lights and intersections and four-ways, and it just so happens that as you move through, the lights turn green just when you need them to do. So the energy keeps going, it keeps flowing. It can make you feel as though your life is just going forward in some ways where it's a little bit out of your control. Like if you wanted to stop and pull up to the side of the road and evaluate things, it's actually quite hard to do because everyone else is doing this at the same time. Have you ever felt like that on the highway? Like you're surrounded by lots of cars, everything's moving quickly, there's lots of green light energy, and you realize, I left my wallet at the gas station, I need to turn around. But you can't turn around because you're stuck in this massive surge of flowing energy going in this direction when you want to go that way. Anyway, it's happening again in April. March is clear, green lights the whole way. April is clear except right at the very end. At the very end, we're going to have a really profound change of energy. Pluto is going to be going direct for probably 6 or 7 months, okay? If you think Pluto is going to go retrograde for about 6 or 7 months. And you think Mercury is like 3 weeks. So when Pluto goes retrograde, what's going to happen? And we got plenty of time to prepare, but you need to be aware of it because it's like what I'm trying to hint to you guys is that just pretend we're just flowing. And then the closer we get to the period of the fixed period when Pluto is in its stationary phase before it goes retrograde, you might feel this sort of deep, almost indescribable feeling. Hold on. It might, I don't know, a lot of people won't even notice it. Most people won't notice it unless you have a chart that is heavily, let's say, defined by Pluto. So let's just say you're aware of Pluto energy. A lot of people aren't. Most people aren't. But let's say you're aware of it. It might feel like when you come close to the end of April, you might feel as though the traffic, if you think of my hands as just like traffic moving forward. You might feel like it's starting to slow down and this congestion, then it's starting to go uphill and it's starting to grind and you're realizing like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then it comes to the point of station, and then the planet actually starts to appear as though it's going backwards. So you can reach this period where you've had this sense of life moving forward, and then with hardly any sense of conscious awareness, there's this pullback. Think of it as a massive piece of tide, like a massive tide where the tide was going this way with you, and then the tide starts to go away from you, but you still want to live a life where you're going forward. It can be very, very difficult. Most of the time people don't know it because Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, when they go retrograde, the energies are so deep and so subtle, we don't know they're happening in the most conscious ways. Our consciousness mostly only works with Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. That's about it. Anyway, Pluto, Scorpio is the sign that is ruled by Pluto. Pluto represents power, absolute power, extreme power, ruthlessness, but it also represents the deepest aspect of the soul. When the energy of raw power, think of nuclear power, when raw power is directed and focused in a way that is healthy and benevolent, it's an amazing thing, kind of like what Mr. GATES did with his company about 25 years ago. He brought this so-called gift to the world, the Windows type system, which is competing with Apple and so on. He brought this to the world in a way that he knew it would transform the world forever, and it did. But he was accused of using very, very plutonic, nefarious, extreme methods. Some would call it abuse of power, in order to get done what had to be done. So we've seen both sides of Pluto energy. The most vivid examples that I can see are in this person, Mr. Gates himself. That's just one little digression there. Anyway, let's get over here. Yeah, Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. Scorpio energy often represents secrecy. It often represents extreme power behind the scenes, power that is not obvious in the front lines of life. It can represent the psychic spiritual power that exists inside people, which is frankly phenomenal. If you're aware of it and you're in touch with it and you know how to live with that energy and work with that energy, there's tremendous power in the Pluto aspect of our lives. A lot of people do not have heavily aspected Pluto. Anyway, I'm digressing here. Let's go over here for a second. All right, at the moment, just before I go over here, you'll notice a bunch of conjunctions. Mars conjunct the Gemini North Node. This could mean an extremely aggressive drive to bring out the truth in communications and language and lessons and learning in ways that need to be done properly. That is conjunct there. Mars is very active in Gemini. It's happy there. It's conjunct the Gemini North Node. Gemini North Node is all about how are we going to bring honest, direct, clear communications down to earth here in a way that's comprehensible to everybody. Well, as you know from this, I've been talking about this aspect for pretty much the whole of the year so far. This represents a very, very toxic energy of fraud, deception, betrayal, lies, sickness. I don't know how else to describe it. We could talk about this one forever. So you've got these two very contrasting energies here. And I see that especially in the United States, where we live in this very so-called free, open country, open economy. But there's something else very sinister, very sick, diseased happening in the background. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Yeah, I heard about that one, Pat, releasing chalk powder over Earth. Oh, you know what? I don't know if it was yellow chalk powder, but something very weird happened here. Yep, Pat, you just reminded me of something. A couple of days ago, it rained over here, and a lot of the weather here in Las Vegas comes from the west or the southwest, basically from California or the San Joaquin Agricultural Valley. And I was up early. I went out to the little donut place and had a cup of coffee, and the ground was still wet, but the sun was up, the rain had already gone. And what I noticed was this very nasty stuff wherever the rain was sitting. Anywhere that the rain was sitting and puddling up and collecting, especially in this huge car park nearby, you could see this sort of, it's like this chalky stuff. It's like, you know what happens when you take very, very fine chalk and you put it in water? It's sort of like toothpaste. So if you can imagine like toothpaste watered down, so it's runny, but it has some kind of weird texture to it. I don't know if that was Mr. Gates's plan, but the only way that stuff could have landed on the ground the way it did is if it was up in the clouds, up in the rain, and it was carried down just the way acid rain is carried down. And it was very clear. I could see it in the rain puddles. Like, there's no way this was just blown over from sand in the desert or anything. It was, I almost tempted to, I thought it was fertilizers or chemicals from the San Joaquin Agricultural Valley, because they use a lot of chemicals over there and it blows over the mountains. And I put my finger in it and I rubbed it. and it was like very watered down toothpaste, and it was pale yellow. Maybe that was the chalk. I don't know. Maybe it was a test. I don't know. So, okay, let's go over here. So thank you all for your sweet donations. I'm going to put this on. Let me tuck this over here. Okay, let's, I gotta make some room. So we'll start with Queen of Water, then Elizabeth, then Necessary, and then we'll go to Mary, and then we'll go to Indigo. Okay, that's probably about all I can handle. So what I'm going to do is put this aside. We might end up referring to this in the readings, I'm not sure. Oh, what's that? Calcium bicarbonate is what they use in chalk paint. It is self-priming and very hard to remove once it's dried. That's interesting. Ha ha. All right, Queen of Water, looking for a love forecast. Well, I'm not exactly sure I'm good at forecasting, but we'll certainly give you some reflection. Cards are already well shuffled in advance, but I'm going to go a little bit more just to be sure. Be sure we're covered here. Some of you have been here since the beginning of Tarot Illumination. Thank you so much. We're closing in on 4 years. In fact, yeah, basically it's 4 years. The first 9 months were very, very, very tough. The first year, very tough. Learning how to even just, make a video. And then the second year was more buoyant and more active. I started doing like 40 videos a week and live shows every week, two live shows a week and things. And I had tried to do things like where we had the Tarot Illumination merchandise. I don't know if you remember that, but there's some beautiful things that you can get there. I don't know if people know about that, but we had the Tarot Illumination leggings, and there's all sorts of Tarot Illumination things on the Zazzle site. If anyone's actually interested, I could tell you more about that. They call it merch. I don't just do a baseball hat. There's some really beautiful things there. Yes, Queen of Water, YouTube has changed dramatically. When I first started, I felt like I had a little beautiful baby, a gem of a channel. And then I started, as you know, I got attacked many times, and a lot of algorithmic pressure was placed on the channel and restrictions. And then the final blow came at the end of 2018, at the same time as the Bikram yoga cult scandals in Los Angeles, and I was branded as being one of them. And then the channel was heavily demonetized, and they take away about 50 subscribers a month, and the notifications went from here to here. So it became very, very hard to run the channel at all, but we kept going. Oh yeah, and the scarf. Yes, the Tarot Illumination Magic Silk Scarf. I'm very, very proud of that, by the way. I wish I knew how to make what they call NFTs, non-fungible tokens, so I could sell my art and find a way to pay some bills. If there's any multi-millionaires out there and you want to buy some Tarot Illumination art, let me know and I'll get you hooked up. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look. All right, Queen of Water, you're up. Messages about love. So I'm going to use the same old spread that I do because it's very handy. It's very useful. It does what it does very well. I call it my situational spread because it just gets to the point of the matter. It's like a diagnostics tool. All right, so Queen of Water, you are up. Queen of Water, use Etsy. Etsy, I think I've heard of that. In fact, I know I've heard of it. Okay, dear tarot cards, you've done hundreds of readings on this deck, thousands of readings on my old one. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Oops, hold on a second. All right. Oh, oh, hey, Queen of Water. I don't know what's going on down there with you, but I felt this kind of very affectionate hug kind of energy. I'm I'm guessing it came from you. It's almost like a feeling like of dear friends being able to hang out again. I'll see if I can do like act this out in improvisation. Just then, when my energy field kind of went from here, tightening up the focus so I can focus on your reading, I felt this thing like, oh, it's like it's good to see you again. And I know I don't know you personally, and it's just through the channel, but I can feel it. And I want to return the energy. You might not be aware of it, but that's what I felt here. It's just literally like little Bubba the cat here. I like to give him a squeeze and a cuddle regularly to make sure he knows that he's loved. Also, there's Bonnie and Boo Boo. We've all become friends now, and of course, there's LT. So anyway, that's what I just wanted to let you know that before we do the reading. It was like a warm and fuzzy love hug. It's not romantic, it's just affectionate. Thank you very much. All right, let me just do one last gentle fat cut here. And then we'll go to it. All right, here we go. All right, dear cards, you wonderful little things, you. Miraculous Uranian type of things. What kind of messages do we have here for Queen of Water, especially regarding love? We'll call it in the broadest sense, romantic, loving, caring, passionate, companion type energy. Like some people, love is different for everybody. Their definition of it, their desire, what it means to them, but there are certain common themes that are shared in all loving situations. Things like honesty, truth, respect, affection, compassion, patience, and the willingness to maintain your integrity in order to preserve the good things in the relationship. Prioritizing what really, really counts in a relationship. Like game playing is not very healthy, or power games are not healthy. When you have a really loving relationship, it's very mutually supportive. You will feel the energy of being cherished by another, and they are accepting you as you are, with all your strength and wonders and all your deep flaws, and vice versa. And so that would be very, I would say, very apparent at this very moment in time with this full moon energy we're just coming out of. All right, so for you, Queen of Water, we have here the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Because there's always challenges. Let's have a look at the weather. So we got the Hierophant. So this, even though this is like a fleeting energy right now, it involves the moon. So within a few hours, within a day, the moon is going to be over here. And all of these beautiful aspects of sacred geometry, which looks like a kite, will fade away. So at this particular moment in time, my feeling is that what the Hierophant is saying is that in an idealized situation, you, Queen of Water, would have already met a loved one, or in spirit there is a loved one who's out there, like ready and waiting, and vice versa, you for them and them for you, where I don't know how to say it, the preferred arrangement, or the the structure of the relationship would be like formalized, traditionalized, like a marriage, for example, where, a lot of people sleep around, a lot of people have affairs, a lot of people have live-in partners, or something like that. But when looking at the Hierophant in a love reading, using my spread here, the situational spread, what I'm seeing here is, to me it feels like it's a message to you that what would work, probably like the best thing for you would be a very traditional kind of formal relationship where you're not using the other person, they're not using you. Excuse me. You go forward with the deliberate energy of trust. You're trusting in them, they're trusting in you, and it would be viewed here in this earth, in this lifetime, is what would appear like a marriage contract. Now, you don't actually have to be married, you don't have to live together in any way to do that, but to me it feels like this is what would work for you. It's where things are formalized. So it means, okay, sorry, this is going to get a little bit heavy here. Hold on. So you know how I talk about sometimes energy flows where attention goes. Okay, so you have to think about the power of intention here, okay, Queen of Water? So if you want a certain type of relationship in a certain way, which has certain defined structures to it, where you, let's say, enshrine the key principles that you want, like respect, clear communications, honesty, patience, the things that were like a list of things that we want. I remember years ago, Path Traveler wrote a very, very specific like relationship, not a questionnaire, but like a submission, like, Dear Lord Heaven, this is what I want, okay? Manifested. I see that. Let me just check that. I want to show that to everybody. All right, so, give me a second here. I've got to go back. So, the other way to look at it is the laws of attraction. Have you heard of Esther and Jerry Hicks? I think they're still alive. I don't know. But anyway, they wrote these books about the laws of attraction. So it's like Queen of Water. If your heart is built for, let's say, having a traditional, stable kind of partner, then for that to happen, you'd have to offer that. So in other words, you have to portray the characteristics and behavior that you would wish to receive in return. I'm sure you're aware of all this stuff already, but I think the Hierophant here is just, let's say, like a reminder, like, don't forget, Queen of Water, you got to put out what you want to return, in what you want in return to you. It's the laws of attraction. In other words, there's no point in you chasing, I want someone who's honest and full of integrity and respectful and kind and patient who understands me. For that to happen, you don't chase that. What you do is you offer that. You don't have to force it, but you have to offer that in terms of your aura. And then, due to the laws of attraction, which is basically the laws of physics, the laws of nature, guess what happens? Anyway, let's keep going. So the situation itself, to me it felt like, oh, I'm looking. Well, I'm looking. I'm ready. I'm waiting. I am perfectly poised to receive that which is mine. The question is, what does it exactly that look like? So the Two of Wands here, to me this looks like you're, doesn't matter your biological age. To me it looks like in your spirit, you already know what we're talking about here. You're interested in, it's almost like you're at this point where you realize that you're going to have to picture and visualize what you want to come to you, and you have to project that energy outwards in order for it to return to you. And so the question is here, this to me looks like a really big question mark. It's a big question, like, wow, I never really quite thought about it the way TL's talking about it right now in such simple ways. So, the situation is like, So TL, you're telling me for me to receive and enjoy something that would work for me, I have to offer the things that would work for me. So what does that exactly look like? So in other words, going back to the Hierophant here, it's almost like you, dear Queen of Water, are being challenged to define very clearly, very precisely, maybe in like a list of 5 key items. What are you looking for? What do you want in the love relationship? Do you want someone who's very stable with lots of money? Have you? Hey, wait a minute. Have you heard that thing? You can have 3 things. You can have rich, handsome, or what's the other one? Rich, handsome, or I can't remember it. Oh God. Oh, there's this quirky thing. Oh, it's sort of like that physics thing. You can have fast, good, and cheap. Pick 3. Pick 2 out of 3. You can only have 2. So if you want fast and good, it's not going to be cheap. If you want good and cheap, it's not going to be fast. If you want cheap and fast, it's not going to be good. And they have a similar dynamic in relationships. So I think what's happening here for you, Queen of Water, is that you are being posed with this question back to you from the universe, from your sacred guides, your invisible friends. They're asking you to look around in your world, look around the world at this very moment in time. How do you see relationships? Pick a few people that you know. How do you feel that they see you? How do you feel that you see them? And what are the key ingredients that you value here? Is it that they're funny and amusing? Is it that they are you funny? Also, it could be whatever it is, but what we're looking at here is like definition. We need to define very, very clearly, like, what is it you really want? What's the challenge here? Whoa, we've got a 2 of Pentacles. So I didn't say whoa anything because it's bad. I just said whoa because we've got 2 2s in a row, and I'm not a numerologist, even though sometimes I can see numbers and things like that. Well, with the 2 of Pentacles, it makes me feel as though the challenge is partly to do with money and finances. A lot of people get to a point in life and love and relationships where they realize, they might not want to admit it, but money is a very, very important aspect of relationships. If you're going to try and last and survive for the long term, you have to have your, let's say, your core belief systems in line with a partner, or at least align in such a way that you're mutually beneficial. You might have skills with this, they might have skills with that, but you got to find a way to make them work together. So in other words, joint finances. You might be absolutely terrified of joint finances or being in a relationship where you end up having someone who's dependent on you financially. Or just opposite, you might be very scared of being in a situation where you are dependent, completely dependent on someone else financially. Where like, well, what happens if they dump me? Oh, what happens if I dump them? Or whatever that is. But to me, it looks like you really got to consider the aspect of money and what money means in a relationship. Money affects all relationships. Nothing good or bad about money in that aspect. How do you get money? Where does it come from? Is there enough? Can you handle what you have? Do you know how to manage your finances in the context of relationship? It's mind-boggling in the United States how many relationships implode because of financial reasons, whatever they might be. So to me it looks like we're kind of looking at a learning opportunity here for you, Queen of Water, about not learning about the other person or the other love mate partner, but getting much more clarity about like who you want and what are they like? What's the relationship like? Getting some clear definition. In other words, you can't sit and watch Netflix movies and say, oh, I want that one. I want one just like that. You actually have to kind of go through the process. Okay, I just saw your note there. It says here, you're financially stable. So my feeling is here that one of the worst things that could happen in love and relationship is something that would destabilize your financial stability. So, just as a lot of men fear that there are, if you're a really wealthy guy, some guys are really scared of gold diggers. But it's also the other way. If you are a financially stable person, female, you can attract guys who might be very, very charming, but they might be gold diggers too. Got to be very, very careful of that, okay? How are we going to deal with this? Oh boy. So we've got the Lover's card here. My feeling is that there's no quick, easy answer to your situation, Queen of Water. I think, like for the next, at least for the whole of April and the whole of May, I would look at, what really counts to you in a relationship, and making sure that you radiate the energy of that which you wish to receive. And then when you start getting glimpses of that, for example, if you start doing the work right now, by the time we start getting into the Pluto retrograde, you might start to feel like the energy coming back at you. And then you have to, I would say, be very poised, be very careful about how you integrate with any other potential mate or how they integrate with you, because it looks like, each in their own ways, two's here. The whole concept of relationships is a really prominent aspect of your life. I don't know what your chart is like. Maybe you have a very strong 7th house aspect. Maybe you've got some, like very strong axes along the 1st and 7th house, or something where the energy of relationship is very vivid in your chart. And it's not like that for everybody. Some people have minimal or zero aspects for relationship in terms of like love, marriage, kids, lovey-dovey stuff. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Okay, so another way I'm looking at this right now that I take an overall view, what I'm sensing is that if you personally take the subject of relationships very seriously to the point where it's like, if we're going to do this, we're talking marriage. Okay? We have to do this right. In other words, you take me for everything I have, everything I've got, for better or worse. And you take me for everything I've got, for better or worse. Obviously, we're going to go for the best that we can. But you can't have the good stuff without being exposed to the risks and everything that comes. You could call it the bad stuff. In other words, you have to be prepared to be in a relationship where you are going to be fully exposed to the other party, and they're going to be reflecting everything back at you that you need to know about yourself in order for you to enjoy this life. And in some ways, some of the most powerful healing occurs in the context of a loving relationship, or perhaps in a non-loving relationship we can learn and grow. But either way, it's like very critical who you pick to relate with and who picks you to relate with them. You have to have really, let's say, really, I don't know if the word is strict, filters, but you have to really stick to the really, really important things that exist in relationship, the key things that I described. Notice how I didn't describe looks or health. Obviously, those things are important. You have to feel physically comfortable with somebody. You can't just have like a perfect match astrologically, but you just can't stand looking at them, or they can't stand looking at you, and you can't sleep together, or something like that. You get these really funny situations I don't know. You know, I'm not going to point fingers or name names or anything, but um, you can have a relationship where you're very comfortable and cozy together. You can fall asleep like little gerbils, you know, curled up in a ball. And then you wake up and your life is hell, you know? And then sometimes you can have these relationships where everything seems wonderful, but there's like underlying chaos, or you realize like, I can't sleep. I freaking can't sleep. Or the same way, like, he snores or she snores. Like, what am I supposed to do? Anyway, sorry, I got a little bit off tangent there. A little bit off subject. So anyway, cheers. Queen of Water, I hope that helps you. To me, it looked like this was a little bit of an overkill type reading, in that there's probably a lot more going on, but it would require a little bit more in-depth study here. But, you know, as a snapshot, it looks like relationships are very important to you. Whether you have one or not, it's still an important theme or aspect or subject of your life. And it deserves very close examination. Okay? Thank you very much, Queen of Water. Elizabeth. Okay, I guess we're going to give you a birthday reading. Let's do this. I'm just going to shuffle up, folks. We'll move on now. All right, Elizabeth, you're up. All right, let's just do last little bits and pieces here. Okay, Elizabeth? All right. Just going to basically give like a little, like a mini birthday reading or something. Oh dear, that's looking pretty empty. Hold on. Ugh. You can go over here. All right. All right, so actually cards are shuffled. I guess I could just divine love takes time. Oh boy. I see your note there, Queen of Water. All right, Elizabeth. Get cozy, get comfortable. This is all about you now. Okay, what messages do we have here? Oops, excuse me. For Elizabeth, heading into the birthday. So when you're going into the birthday season, for you, for anybody, you're going through the astrological clock, so to speak, where you come to the 12th house. And in my own personal experience, the last few weeks before your actual birthday can be a little bit of a downer time. Some people aren't aware of it because they live off, energy drinks or lots of coffee or something. So they don't know, they're not aware of their own natural cycles, or their natural cycles in life become, let's say, altered by substance or something like that. But Elizabeth, you've always struck me as someone who's very conscious, because that you have to be, because of you've been through so many challenges and you are still here to tell the story. And so, like, what I notice is that when you get towards the actual solar return, your birthday's your solar return, you can get this feeling of like I don't know how to say it. I don't want to depress anybody here, but it's like you go through a full solar cycle and then you get back to the next one. Part of it is like, woohoo, I lived another year. And the other part of it is like, oh my God, I'm 1 year older, closer to the great beyond. Oh my gosh. And then you start to look back at the carnage of the year. And because for a lot of people, life is a big struggle. Not everybody is like super happy all the time, having wonderful, continuously perpetual upward success and joy. I think there are some people who are good at that. But that's a very kind of, I would say, Zen, advanced yoga training kind of way to live. I'm not that far. So, Elizabeth, just kind of a heads up. When you get towards the actual birthday, if you start to feel any kind of sinking feelings, like if only coulda, woulda, shoulda, if only this had happened or that had happened, or I could have done this or that in my last year, then the next year would be so much better. That would be normal, so don't worry about it. If you go through anything like that in a couple of weeks, in the few weeks, let's say 2 weeks before the actual birthday, that would be normal. Of course, a lot of people wouldn't even think about it, but the more aware you are of yourself, the more likely you will notice that there might be a bit of a lull, kind of maybe a sad period, a period of remorse or something for anything and everything that didn't work out. So just be aware of that, okay? All right, so we're shuffled up and cut. Let's you know what, I'm gonna have to do it again. I got distracted. I see you guys are doing some chat about some healing there. I remember when we tried to do these group sessions about healing, and I was just sharing some of my own personal methods, which were kind of strange and bizarre, but they allowed me to endure a lot of stuff that people wouldn't normally be able to endure. But then what happens is I realized that all you're doing is allowing yourself to carry even more stress than before. So I've kind of backed off a little bit. And I haven't had any of those shared Zoom meetings for a long time now. All right, Elizabeth, this is for you. Here's the situation. I'm not going to say this is not like a fortune telling or anything. We're just doing a kind of a snapshot, okay, like an old-fashioned Polaroid. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And these are kind of messages, I would say broad spectrum messages that will hopefully help you in the year to come. So we have the Seven of Cups. Now I'm looking at this from the advantageous side. Okay, here's the character. Here are these beautiful, magical 7 cups, each of them full of wondrous things. Question is, what does it all mean? And to me, it feels like you're going to have a bigger and better chance to come into your like an improvement when it comes to your imagination, when it comes to things like your writing and the way you craft your writing and your stories and all of that. It takes a lot of, let's say, connection to heaven and the willingness to be an artist, okay? Some people call this the Einstein card, where it represents the energy of divine dreaming, where instead of calculating what you need on life on a piece of paper with a calculator and, planning a career in your so on like that, this is much more to do with increasingly turning into your heart, soul, Neptunian, imaginative aspects of your nature and character to get what you need from heaven, from your angelic guides, from your invisible friends, through the process of prayer and, let's say, what's the word? Acceptance, just accepting. In other words, it would be like saying the way to take advantage of the year ahead is to continuously ask, like your invisible friends, or when you're sleeping, ask for your dreams to speak to you. Ask for whatever messages that you need to know, that you really, really need to know, like for your health, for your future when it comes to art and creativity and writing, and how to keep yourself from going berserk and going insane with all the craziness in the world. Instead, it's like you deliberately look to heaven and you every day you ask for divine inspiration. You ask for to be guided and protected through your dream worlds, through your spirit guides. Just the way that artists tap into their imagination to do what they have to do. Yes, prayer would be a very good way of interpreting this. Well done. Okay, here's the situation itself. Oh, and look at this. Wow. So, again, the subject of healing is very strong here. This looks to me is where, let me just do this directly. It feels to me, yes, exactly, Queen of Water. I see your notes there. Creativity will help you, Elizabeth. So it's almost the more and more you dive into your imagination, your creativity, especially your writing and the written words, that we already know this because we've done readings before, but it's a very healing thing for you. It's like we're taking it to the next level now. And you know this. You already know from experience that by tapping into your imagination, tapping into like divine intervention, and whatever I need comes to me. Whatever I don't need, please take it away. We've talked about these things before. Please, dear heaven, please, dear angels, please, invisible friends, guardians, all of them, archangels, please bring to me that which is mine. Please help me take away that which is not mine, so I can really be me, so I can heal. Okay? And a good way to do that is kind of just what we did. It's through prayer. Prayer is literally just talking to God, talking to heaven, and trusting and knowing that it's out there. I do it all the time. I lean on my heavenly friends, my invisible friends, my guardians. I ask frequently for guidance and protection because I don't have any natural means. So I can relate to that. So with the Temperance card there, the situation for you is ultimately your next year ahead for you is really going to bring the subject of healing, personal self-healing, ever more to the surface. That's your physical body, literally your physical body, and your mental energy, your heart energy. The most important thing is, this might sound really banal, but it's really important to think of the physical body, because your physical body is the vessel of your spirit. So it's really, really important, the way I see this reading, is to look at your next year where you really pay attention to your body and what your body is telling you. And if you realize something or some medication is not right for you, you need to talk about it with the doctors, things like that. And then if you realize, like, you know what? Instead of doing one big long walk every week, it might be an idea to just do a little walk every day. Something to sort of amplify the healing aspects of your life, so that the more you focus on what you know you need for you, what you need to make your life work for you physically, like the right foods, the right diet, taking care of the finances, doctors, the nurses, your friends, and all of that. Anything that your body tells you is not healthy, you have to acknowledge that. Because I've counseled a lot of abuse victims, extreme abuse victims, and there's a common characteristics. It's almost as though their self-defense mechanisms have been disabled, especially when it happens very, very young. Children who've been abused when they're very, very young can have this characteristic that makes them appear as though they're constantly victimized and vulnerable. And it's because they have been conditioned to live by disabling their survival mechanisms to tell truth from lies. And there are a lot of people on earth who would really, really benefit from your stories, Elizabeth, because you know so much about this world. But you're at a point now where you're so much stronger than when I first knew you, where you can take healing to the next level, where you realize it is a very physical thing. You have to feel it in your body. If something in your body, just something says, you know what, it's not right. There's something not right about this person or this situation or this food or this medication. It has to stop. Okay? Okay, so that to me that is the theme. I think the theme of healing is going to be paramount in your next year ahead. Okay? And you're going to get help from divine intervention, guidance and protection through prayer. Okay, let's keep going. I got to go back to the stage here. Hold on. All right, so what are the challenges ahead? Okay, so with the world card, with the world card, you might feel like, to me, okay, this is going to sound a little bit scary, okay, Elizabeth? But you've been through so much, it's almost unbelievable. Really, there should be a movie made about you, okay? We all know that already. For the people who don't know, she just put it on the screen here. She's being completely open about it. She was kidnapped and raped and drugged. And that's just the tip of it, okay? And Elizabeth and I have been friends for years, even outside of the channel. And it's a real pleasure to have Elizabeth with us here tonight. And hopefully, if I can keep going in this life, we'll get to a point where Elizabeth will be able to share her story more openly, because it'll be very helpful for other people, especially women who've had to deal with such things. So when I see the world card here, it's like endings and beginnings. It's almost like one of the big problems is not knowing what is the new world that lies ahead, and this terrifying feeling of like everything could stop tomorrow. It's almost like literally because of the way that you were conditioned in your infancy and childhood and your youth, Elizabeth, it's almost like life for you is it's like life or death every day. You can't just gently go through life like, oh, I wouldn't mind a little, I don't know, egg salad sandwich now and maybe some crackers. That would be so nice. And everything is just gentle and bliss. No. To me, it feels like here, you wake up every morning and you're trying to figure out, how on earth am I going to survive the next day and close it up as a chapter so that I can start a whole new life tomorrow. Literally, to me, it feels like the big challenge for you is this constant, never-ending pressure where it's like this intense pressure where it's almost like you're facing life and death every day. And the human body is not built to be that way. You have a right to life. But if you're programmed, literally conditioned because of some of the horrible experiences where your life is in jeopardy, and then you wake up and you realize, oh my God, I'm still alive, then that impression gets deeply bedded into your psyche and your soul, and then you end up like branded, You're that type of person. Every day you wake up like, oh my God, I'm alive. Oh my God, how am I going to get through the day so I don't die by the end of the day? And then I have to start all over again. That's exhausting. But that is the challenge that I think you're facing here. But because healing and self-healing is going to be such an important theme for you in your next year, as you know on the channel, you've got to reveal it to heal it. I wouldn't be surprised if you come to a higher level of prominence in this world because of your work, your creativity, your creative writing, your creative self-expression. I know that English is not your native language, but frankly, you are more articulate than a lot of English-speaking people because you've had to train for it, you've had to work at it. So it makes your work very powerful, very profound. And I think what might happen here is that since the healing aspect is such a big theme, and realizing that every single day is like a life or death situation, this needs to be acknowledged and faced up. And so you look in the mirror and you kind of like, and maybe a few months from now, you'll wake up and you think, oh my God, I remember that reading I had with Lumination, life or death every single day. And it's like that. You realize, oh my God, that's true. I was branded as an infant. And it's not right. It's not healthy. And it needs to be revealed. And for you, the revealing, I see it, of course, as we know, is in the writing. It's in the creative self-expression. Okay? You're very gifted, Elizabeth. So to me, it feels like it's so important in your healing journey is to continue to stay tuned in to divine inspiration on the understanding that, wow, I'm realizing my whole life was branded with that characteristic of life and death every day. It's like facing shock, trauma, death every single day. And how do I get over that and reform myself to live another day? So we're talking about a concept that we've called, I've talked about it with Love Triber today. We call it the will to live. Okay? So you're probably going to be stronger and better than anyone to be able to articulate those feelings and stories to the world, because by creative self-expression, using divine inspiration where you are the instrument, okay, and it comes through you and out of you, you reveal it to heal it. What is being revealed is this, like a classic storyline and all the characteristics of someone like yourself who was branded with this life or death formatting every single day. And a lot of people who were heavily traumatized in their youth, sexually drug abused and raped, and child traffic victims, especially involved in like cults, very abusive sex cults and things like that. There are a lot of people out there who are literally psychically, emotionally, spiritually, physically deranged, because it takes you so far out of what is a healthy life. But you, Elizabeth, you have found a way to grasp and understand the will to live another day so that you can tell the tale. So you live to tell the tale. You live another day to tell the tale. Okay? So I think that's where things are heading for you. Let's have a look over here. Let me go back. I'm only expanding on this in the way because we've worked together before several times, and maybe the audience is not aware of that. But Elizabeth and myself have worked together quite a few times. And so I'm taking a bit of advantage here, and I'm expanding on the reading here because I know Elizabeth. Let's have a look here, and how are we going to deal with this? Because this is big. Whoa! So you got the Six of Wands here. It's basically, Elizabeth, the way to deal with this, which is, of course, the shocking realization that you are branded. You're branded for life. That brand is with you for life. But it doesn't mean it's the death of you. It's part of your character. And some people are very ashamed of it. They can't talk about it because it's so squalid and shameful. On the other hand, when you live a life of full self-expression, where you give yourself permission to live, to fight another day, and to tell the story, that is the definition of a winner. Okay? And the more you tap into that, where you realize, I was born to tell this tale. I was born to live this life of being deeply branded and scarred in order that I could understand the truth of it, so I could tell the story. Because when you give yourself permission to be a winner, and you give yourself permission to live a life with the will to live, you now give guidance and permission and inspiration to others that they have a chance too. Because there's a lot of people in your situation, Elizabeth, who would have given up. They would never have made it. I'm literally telling the truth. They would never, ever have made it. They would have tapped out long ago. So, the way to deal with this, because it's basically like a reckoning here. When you reveal it to heal it, what is being revealed is so shocking, so horrific, that a lot of people would never want to deal with it or heal it because it's too much pain to look at. It's too much to be revealed. It's too much to be healed. But what's happening here is basically saying, no, that's not true. What is true is that you can see this from a bigger perspective. You have a life. You're here for a reason. It looks to me like your reason is here to tell the tale and literally to live the life of a winner. How being a winner looks to other people is a different thing, but you know what that's like in your spirit, okay? So it's almost like the way to handle it is to know for a fact that every new day, for a fact, you will wake up and live another day. And the story will be told some way, somehow, and that is the healing. It's amazing how writing is such a powerful tool at self-healing. People who do things like journals and stuff like that, they often report wonderful experiences about healing themselves through writing. So that's how you do it, Elizabeth. You basically look in the mirror and tell yourself, my God, I really am a winner. I am a winner. And then you lead by example. And you're like, what's that Marianne Williamson expression? Like, you by living your life authentically and truthfully, bravely and courageously, you give permission for other people to do so too. That's your mini reading. Thank you, Elizabeth. Looks to be kind of an important year for you. Yeah, Elizabeth, I see that. Thank you so much. I will survive. Yes, you will. Absolutely. I tell you, people, Elizabeth is a fighter. Elizabeth is seriously a fighter. And that Six of Wands is the symbolism of not just a fighter, but a fighter that wins. Okay? Necessary Truth, you're up. Now, for Necessary Truth, what she has done is she's asked for a courtesy reading about what to do about the son of Allsun. Allsun apparently has a son called Brandon, and there must be some issues going on there. So we're going to find out a little bit, what are we going to do about this, okay? Hold on, the Post-it notes are melting or something. I don't know what's going on. Give me a second. Try that. And then indigo over here. All right. Cheers, everyone. Can we have a song? Okay, let's, yeah. I'm going to play I Am Guided, I Am Protected. How about that? Sure, why not? Okay. I am guided, I am protected, I am... Okay, let's try this, see if this works. Clickety click. I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. When the light of hope it fades, when all faith is blown away, when all sense of trust goes down, when a smile turns into frown, when it feels there's no relief, nothing in which to believe, desperate in woe and grief, angels come reminding me, I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. Angels gather close to me, show me what I cannot see. Angels take me by the hand, lift me when I cannot stand. Angels lead me through the dark, soothe and tend a broken heart, laughing at the circumstance, crying while we sing and dance. I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. So, there we go. I did a little tune for you, necessary. Oh, hello, Gregory. Good evening. Mr. Ross is here, people. All right, let's have a look. Let's get back over. We got to do this reading for Brandon. I don't know whether I should say the readings for Brandon or for All Sun or for Necessary. It's really about Brandon, so let's make that the subject here. Okay, what messages do we have for All Sun about the Sun, Brandon? That's probably the best way to put it. Let's have a look. It's probably best if I don't know any of the details or anything, any kind of background here. We'll do kind of a blind reading if that's okay with everybody. Of course, once the cards come out, when the story starts to unfold, then, you know, we can start to reinterpret as needed, but sometimes it's helpful to go on a completely blind reading. Okay, we're shuffled. I've shuffled and shuffled and shuffled. Let's have a look here, see what's going on. See if we can do a bit of diagnostics. All right. I was just kind of sensing something that I don't know if I can put it in words. What is it like? It's just like it's something like this is difficult. This is awkward. I'm not sure if that's about Brandon or for Brandon or for the for all sun or for anyway. Let's have a look. Okay. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. Okay, I got the Page of Swords here. Okay, the Page of Swords can represent some very rebellious energy. It's the kind of energy where, if this is referring, say, specifically to Brandon, if Brandon is acting out in some kind of way, or if it's not about Brandon, hold on. This can be very disruptive. The Page energy, the Page of Swords here does not mean any harm. But the Page of Swords, to me, it feels like, is demanding truth. I demand truth, honesty. Okay? It's the energy of the whistleblower in some ways. It's the energy of the... In some ways, it's like... So, okay, so let's... So if the Page of Swords here is sort of like representing the energy field in which Brandon is having to conduct his life, to me it has the energy of what we're dealing with is a rebellious, unstable, volatile type of energy field, where either Brandon himself is radiating those characteristics and it's very hard to deal with because it's like anything and everything will be contested. Like whether it's, if let's say, so Brandon is the son of all sun. So it's almost like whatever all sun does, anything, whether it's well-intended or neutral or there was no specific intention at all, you're just living your life being all sun. It's all going to be challenged and questioned in such a way that it's almost like beyond defiance. It's almost to the point of like, what's that? Okay, here's another way to describe it. Give me a second here. I don't know much. I don't know about this. There's some Bible story. I don't know the details of it. I was forced into the Bible as a child. I hated it. But it's the idea of the whistleblower. Today it would be like Edward Snowden or what's his name from WikiLeaks, or I forgot his name. But it's looking at life from the perspective that it's almost like anything and everything that comes out of an adult's mouth, or anyone who presents themselves as an adult or an authority over me, you're going to be questioned, ripped apart and shredded. Even if it sounds like it's good and it's truthful and wholesome and ultimately it benefits me, it's almost like the energy is saying, I know that there's a scam built into it. Like ultimately when you're actually trying to help me, you're still trying to actually help yourself. So it's almost like it's like an unwinnable type of energy. It's almost, to me it feels as though the weather surrounding the situation is that it's like it's rebellious youth, very difficult to handle. Anything and everything that All Sun does is going to be questioned or challenged or undermined or contested in some way, and it might get really nasty. It might get really kind of in your face stuff. And then, what do you do about that? Let me go back here. Well, so what's the situation itself here? Okay, so what it feels to me is that here's the situation also, because we've worked together before. You have a very powerful soul type of energy, which some people can't handle. It's because you tend to come at things in a very direct, absolutely direct manner. And it's infused with your own soul nature, which is ultimately well intended. And then on top of that is the egoic nature, which is like the man, all son himself. So it all comes out as one thing. And then there's the energy of what is the soul spirit meaning behind all that. What are you supposed to do with your energy? That's one of the problems people have when, okay, I'm going to get to my point in a minute here, but when you have, let's say, a high degree of psychic awareness or healing abilities or leadership abilities or capabilities that are, say, a little bit above and beyond average or normal, with great power comes great responsibility. And so the question is, what am I supposed to do with that? And perhaps there's a little bit of like father, like son going on in such a way where, since we've already worked together also, some people might not know you at all here, but we've worked together, and all son, you have a way of coming at life in the world and questioning anything and everything, and then coming to your own conclusions about what is true and what is real. And that suffices for you. And then there is a spiritual meaning and purpose to that. And your nature and your soul is bedded into that aspect of yourself. It's one and the same thing. Like your purpose and your meaning is carried in your physical activities and your words and so on. And as you get to this point where there's like a power struggle, the way it looks to me, it's like a power struggle where you, all son, are seeing reflections of yourself coming back at you. And Brandon is seeing reflections of himself coming back to him from you. And I think perhaps maybe it's because of DNA or whatever it is. He is your son. You are the father of Brandon. Brandon is the son of all son. So he's going to have some aspects to him which I feel are going to be very characteristics of you. And as he comes more into his own strength and own power, my feeling is that there's a very good chance he's really, really going to challenge you and really put you through your paces, like questioning anything and everything about you, like what gives you the right to control me or own me as a father, and you're such a spiritual person and all of that, right? Yeah, but you're really just an out of control person who's trying to take it out on me, Brandon, and I don't buy it. So it's almost like the son is challenging the father, and then the father is challenged to be the father to the son in a way that is, let's say, very challenging, because somehow or other you're going to have to bring it out of the egoic, let's say, frame, where it's like your classic clashing parent thing, and somehow or other the energy of spirit has to prevail, has to come into it. And I'm not sure how to do that, because I don't have any children of my own, all son, but I have been kind of a stepfather to about 7 little kids all in a row over a period of years. And I think it's different being a biological parent as opposed to a surrogate parent or a stand-in parent. The biology does make a difference. And what I'm sensing here is that what's going on, the situation is that you are being taken to the limits of your patience as a kind, loving, spiritual person in how to deal with the son. Because your son might see you purely as just this guy who made me, and now he thinks he can tell me what to do and how to do it just because he's all sun, and he's so cool and all of that. And so it looks like it's very like kind of energy. That's what I'm sensing here, and it makes it very hard for you, because obviously you don't want to hurt the boy. You want to help the boy. And to me, it looks like the situation is that it's very, very hard for you, All Sun, to be the perfect father for this boy. Because my feeling is that this boy is a serious handful. And that's probably one of your own fundamental characteristics that you are now seeing coming back at you from him, and it's in his blood. It isn't just some random person on the street challenging you. Okay? So to me it feels like a face-off, where somehow or other the raw egoic animal energy has to be transmuted into some kind of bigger spiritual storyline here. What's the challenge? I don't know if there's drugs involved, or abusive drugs, or some kind of psychosis, or some kind of delusional lying, stealing, or something going on here which is really unacceptable in terms of anybody's behavior. Like if you are fooling your son, or if your son is fooling you, or if your son is doing things that are very, very unhealthy, and it's taking him farther and farther away from truth and reality, then that has to be confronted. From what I can tell, this isn't just a problem about All Sun and Brandon. This can be a problem about a lot of people in so-called developed countries like the Western world. We have so much in America, and America is just saturated, flooded with drugs of all kinds. Some of them are just sweet and fun and benign, but some of them can be very heavily abused. And just one dose of one thing can set a young person on a tangent for the rest of their life, and it becomes very hard to handle. If there's hallucinogens, for example, or powerful stimulants, or powerful depressants, or if the situation is that Brandon has just gone completely off his rocker, out of control, and it's because of, let's say, external influences. Maybe he's hanging out with people who are not so good, people who aren't healthy, or maybe it's something a little bit more benign. Maybe he's completely lost in dreamland, video games or something, and not participating in society, and showing a lot of characteristics of what's happening to a lot of young kids right now, where they're completely immersed in these alternate fantasy worlds, and they don't really participate in life as we knew it when we were all kids. We're all adults here. So going back 10, 20, 30 years or something. What's that? Hold on, Fridley just said something there. Brandon. It says, Fridley Land of Truth. I know a Brandon who has oppositional defiant disorder. Wow. ODD. I never heard of that. All right, so the way this looks to me is like this is like out of control child, son, facing benevolent, well-meaning father who's being taken to the absolute extremes of their ability, where the problem lies in very unhealthy things, perhaps to do with lies, theft, stealing, drugs, alcohol, depression, a lot of the things that, especially if they're around the age of 14 and a half or something, if they're in that age range, they're halfway through their Saturn cycle, and that can be a very, very tough time for kids. 14 and a half years old, 14 years old. Something to think about. So how are we going to deal with this? Okay, so we got the 10 of Pentacles here. Sorry, the 9 of Pentacles. And Pentacles, well, it's sort of about money in a way. I'd like to say that the Pentacles here represent physical reality. Maybe money, but maybe just physical reality. And a lot of people think of the 9 of Pentacles as the energy of pure independence, being self-made, planting all your own seeds, doing all your own harvesting, doing all your own nurturing, and seeing the fruits of your labor and enjoying the fruits of your labor. And it's purely because of you. So when I see this card here in this position, it feels to me like, this looks extremely awkward. It almost feels like the way to handle the situation is to acknowledge the talents, see the material talents, gifts, resources that exist in Brandon. And then nurture those talents, gifts, and resources. And that might be a very different approach to what's happening in the relationship right now, where let's say Brandon is off his rocker and he's behaving like an often off his rocker teenager or something, or however old he is, and it's becoming a serious handful how to climb above this like raw egoic human behavior and finding the spiritual aspect to it. It looks to me like the way to do it is like, it's time to sit down and focus on reality. What's the reality? Where are the gifts? Where are the talents? Where are the resources? And providing guidance. Now, I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job, old son. Like, if you're the father of Brandon, it looks to me like the solution here is to recalibrate the relationship, or try to refocus the relationship away from the egoic dynamics, like father versus son, son versus father, where you're being challenged. Instead, you never take the bait. And every time Brandon might annoy you or really enrage you to the point where you would want to react egoically, you set that aside and you realize that's just a trigger for me to do what I really have to do. And I think what has to be done here is that it's like having a serious reality check, where Brandon needs to be brought into awareness regarding his talents, gifts, and resources, and what's that going to look like down the road regarding money, and how to live and how to survive after I'm gone. Pretend I'm Olsen having a challenging day with Brandon. And then all of a sudden, Olsen says, you know what? Let's just stop all this bullshit. I've been fighting you, you've been fighting me, or whatever. It's a lose-lose situation. Let's try something else. I'm not going to force you or tell you what to do or how to do it. All I'm going to do is reflect back to you something that you need to know. Dear Brandon, you are the son of the great All-Son. You have natural innate gifts and talents born into you already. The question is, what are you going to do with that right now? Or in the next 6 months, a year, or what? What are we going to do about that? We have to figure out ways about how you are going to thrive and survive and get along in this world as if I also am not here. What happens if I get run over by a bus tomorrow? What are you going to do? How are you going to carry yourself forward in life independently? The energy of self-sufficiency, independence, pride, dignity, respect in work, respect of gifts and talents, optimizing the gifts and talents that Brandon has. I think that's the best and only way to go forward here. Otherwise, it just gets to a continuous clash of egos. It's not going to work. I've got to click a button here. Hold on. Click that. Okay. So that's what I see here. It looks awkward. It looks very difficult. But I think it can be done. But as the adult here in the situation, it looks to me like the burden rests on you, All-Son, to have to put aside or recognize patterns that are confrontational, what Frittley says, oppositional defiance, and realize, okay, that is just a hallmark of that's just a reminder of where we need to go now. Whenever there's extreme defiance, that's an indication that we need to work on this. Okay? And it's like, okay, let's stop the fighting. If there's fighting and arguing, we need to try a different approach. Focusing on gifts, talents, and resources. Focusing on jobs, money, career, future, independence. The way that schooling happens in America today, I don't know what's really going on because I don't have kids of my own. But I've heard some pretty scary things. And I think with the Nine of Pentacles here, it might be a really good idea to have a serious reality of check about what happens when you're an independent adult and you're living outside and away from the home. What are you going to do? How are you going to take care of yourself? You know, for example, all of a sudden you're a very gifted tradesperson. What about the noble arts? The noble arts of trade persons, contracting, contractors, building, whatever they teach you in trade schools these days. Anything, something that focuses on skills, talents, resources, ways to make money. This looks awkward. Hard to handle, but it can be done. But the hardest part is changing the storyline, changing the subject line, focusing on the positive, focusing on the talents and the resources and the good stuff, nurturing the good stuff and starving the bad stuff. It's really, really hard to do this, especially if you've got kids who are involved in unhealthy practices. How do you rescue them? How do you get them out of that and into something, healthy, wholesome? It's so easy to be distracted these days, and the distracting energies are very, very powerful, and the poor child doesn't even know it's happening. But you as the adult needs to know that and be aware of it, and then try to steer the energy gently. You can't force it. Brandon's never going to be forced. He's going to have to be guided through intellect, through some form of strength, but it's not egoic strength, it's spiritual strength. Somehow or other, the only way I can describe it here is finding a way to change the subject and get away from any unhealthy habits and practices and focusing on tangible talents, gifts, and resources for things like maybe school, college, university, training, career, so that some kind of sense of self-respect and independence can be nurtured into Brandon. I hope this makes sense, all son. I hope this makes sense, necessary. We'll see what happens. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for the donation. Let's have a look over here. I'm going to shuffle up. Shuffle up a lot. Up next we have Mary C. Thank you. I'm dealing with stuff in my personal life right now which is very hard because my ego is being challenged and I'm feeling very, very fragile in that area. So I'm looking for, let's say, spiritual solutions that don't make sense at first look. In real life, in terms of dealing with money and finances and things like that. And skills, talents, and growing your skills and talents, dealing with toxic people, dealing with all the fake frauds and the liars, all the fakery that's happening in the world right now. It's really tragic what's going on out there. Alright, let's have a look. Mary C, let's have a look. Hello, Sarah. Greetings. Sorry, I gotta keep shuffling a bit here. All right, let's see. Mary's with this one. We've worked together before, Mary. Let's have a look over here. Give me a second. All right, let's have a look. All right, storyline here. Let's have a look. What do we need? What is it that Mary C needs to know here? What messages do we have for Mary C tonight here? Just for tonight, just for now. Dear invisible friends, dear guardian angels, all of those wonderful beings that I know they're there, always there, guiding and protecting me. Please come in close. Come in tight, please. Thank you. Mary C, if you're sitting comfortably or watching or lounging or relaxing or wherever you are, however you're doing it, what I would ask, please, if you could deliberately kind of do what I just did. Ask your invisible friends to come close, gather round, as though we're having a little meeting together. So it's not just Tarot Illumination Mary C. It's actually Tarot Illumination with my buddies, my invisible friends, and Mary, you with your buddies. So we get, it's like having an auditorium where we get to share this whole thing. Sorry, that was my phone beeping. All right, so already shuffled and cut. Okay, let's just do it. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And what's the weather like for you? Remember, tonight. Okay, so we've got the Four of Cups here. Okay, so don't get too sad and miserable and depressed about the card, okay? Some people do not like looking at this, but to me it's kind of a reminder more to do with the thing that I talk about here sometimes, like how energy flows where attention goes. And I suffer from this a lot myself. It's a card of coulda, woulda, shoulda. If only I'd done this. If only that had happened. If only I had this or that growing up, or if only I hadn't screwed up here or there or whatever, then everything would just be absolutely wonderful of a time. And at the same time, you're being presented with a miniature Ace of Cups here, which is this golden opportunity where the Ace of Cups, this miniature Ace of Cups, is saying, hey, what are you talking about, Mary C? Your love is around you. You're swimming in love all the time. You've just forgotten because you're so consumed about other things that didn't work or failed or lost or whatever. Okay? You're looking over here, but this is where the action is. Okay? All right? So, okay, let's do it like this. Let's pretend all the green stuff here represents the energy of the Ace of Cups. Okay? A very, very rich, powerful energy of sacred geometry that represents very optimal conditions when it comes to basically anything in your life. When this is, in other words, wherever this point, or this point land in your chart, it doesn't have to be the moon or anything. We're just talking about wherever it is. Like, I think it's about 9 or 10 degrees Libra, about 10 degrees Aquarius, about 10 degrees over here. This is more like 20. So sorry, this has moved on. So let's say 15. Anyway, sorry. Wherever you have these sort of midpoints of Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini in your chart, there's just a natural, innate, very fleeting, passing moment of intense harmony. And we need to be aware of that and be grateful of it. And we're being forced to be aware of it, especially when it comes to relationships, harmony and balance in relationships. So, when I look at this one over here, at the very same time with this sacred geometry, we've got all this red ink. And to me, the red ink represents the energy of woe is me, all the sad, difficult, painful aspects of your life, especially when it perhaps comes to love and relationships, maybe with your mom and your dad, your parents, your siblings, your loved ones, your children, nieces, nephews, or whatever, romances, or anything like that to do where your heart and soul are very involved. And you might be sensing all this red and orange stuff, and it's perhaps very, very uncomfortable. You know, if you're just daydreaming, you switched off Netflix or something, you're not watching YouTube, you're not watching Lumination, you're just sitting on a sofa or a chair somewhere, kind of daydreaming, you find yourself falling into a real slump, like this could be like a drain hole right here, and you're sensing all the sad, horrible things that happen in your life, especially with love and relationships. What this is also telling you is to, just like the card here, it's like, don't forget, this is here. There's still beauty out there in life, in the world, okay? But when you're focused on everything that's not, or like if it's in the past or it never happened, then there's no way you can tap into this, the sweet stuff, take advantage of it, optimize your life, because we are consumed by misery or sadness or grief or regret or something. So I think what the Four of Cups is telling me to tell you, Mary, is just to be aware of how energy actually works, okay? I'm suffering from this a lot myself right now. I can just, that's me all over. So I can understand. And so my task right now is to find a way back to the love, refocus my attention, my energy onto the beautiful things that I have in my life and what works. And then go from there and then feed the love. Energy flows where attention goes. The more you keep focusing energy on this area here, the worse things appear to be. And then you can just flip the switch. You realize, okay, I just need to focus over here. Then you can start to turn things around. It's not easy, but it can be done. What's the situation itself? What do we need to know here? Okay, you've got the Ace of Wands here. My feeling is that somehow or other I had a feeling this card would show up. To me, it feels mostly like a wish. Like, what I would really love is a new start, a new chance, a new beginning, new passion, new lust, new drive in my life. That's the situation. Well, guess what? I could almost be reading this reading for myself, Mary. And how do I find that? Where is it? Where does it come from? Is it something you have to go and get? Is it something that has to be delivered to you? Is it something that is owed to you? Or is it something that can be generated internally? So, that's what it feels like here. Like, you know very well what we're talking about here with the Ace of Wands. This is a card of sacred opportunity, new starts, new beginnings, new chance, new vitality, new life going forward. Like, it's like the energy of springtime, the energy of everything coming into life in the northern hemisphere after a long, cold, bitter winter, something like that. Okay. So when I see the Ace of Wands here, the situation is like, number one, wishing for new chance, new starts, and new beginnings. Number two, realizing that it is possible, it's out there. And then three, acting on the awareness. And the only way you can act on the awareness and actually activate this opportunity is by refocusing your energy. It requires, to be honest, my feeling is, from personal experience, it's hard to do. It's really hard to get out of this trap and to refocus your energy onto the sweet stuff. Because here's something, Mary, you might not want to hear, but I'm just going to come up with it anyway. I'm an expert at wallowing in misery, suffering in my own problems. And it's partly because of conditioning in my youth and whatever. But we get to a point where our whole identity is our problems. And you forget to lose track that your problems are not you. Your problems are your problems. Yes, they affect you. Yes, you're involved with them. Yes, they might be like Rubik's Cubes or old knots that are difficult to unwind and fix and heal. But this is like weird psychology. Let's say I'm some kind of superpowered shrink, and I can just come into your life and just kind of go, wah, 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 and you are healing, you are healed, you are healing, you are healed, and everything's going to be better, just believe it in yourself. And then you kind of go, I see it, yeah, I get it. And then I go a little deeper. We're going to really go deeper, pull out the worst things that affect you. And then you kind of go, wait a minute, no. It's like you're saying to the doctor, you're not allowed to take away my problem. If you take away that problem, I don't know myself anymore. I don't know who I am anymore without my problem. I'm defined by that problem. You have no idea how much pain I carry. You take that away from me, I don't even know who I am anymore. So I've seen that happen. We become so wedded to our problems that it becomes our identity. And it goes into a vicious circle. It feeds on itself. And it's like a non-healing wound. So we have to get past that point. Okay? Sorry, I was looking over there. I just glanced. I caught it on the screen. I can't really take any more readings tonight. I'm really just holding on right now. And I would love to do, 3 or 4 more readings, okay? No, I can't handle it tonight. I won't be able to handle it. Ikat, I would sorry. Okay, Mary, I'm just a little bit distracted here. I just want to take care of this while it's there in front of me. Ikat and September Jones and Cousin It and anyone out there, if you want a personal reading, you can get the little basic one. You can go to tarotlumination.com. Just click the readings page and we can sort something out, okay? These are the little tiny mini $10 super chats, But we can go into a lot more when you actually book a personal reading, okay? And I really love doing those. It's private. We do it all on Zoom, and we record it, and we can go into stuff there that we can't talk about on the channel, okay? So anyway, just want to put that out there. All right, let's get back to your reading, okay, Mary? So, did you see what I was getting at, Mary, about how it's so easy and it's so subtle to become so embedded and tied up with our problems that it starts to become our identity. And when you take away the problem, like, oh, I fixed that, I fixed that, I fixed that. But the really deep, deep buried problems, if a doctor comes in and tries to heal those by pulling them out by the root, the chances are very high that you would resist. I know it sounds very weird. They would never teach you this in conventional medicine, I'm sure, but I've run into this many times because I've done thousands of personal readings where it's almost like you know the core problem when, let's call you the patient, okay? When you are starting to hold on to your problem where you won't let anyone take it away from you. Because if they take away the problem, there's a vacuum. Who am I without my problems? All right. So let's have a look at the problem. Okay, so I'm going to look at this as the inverse. So this is a card of like achievement and winning and being recognized and appreciated for winning and achievements. So my feeling is that in this position, it's a feeling like, doesn't anybody recognize me or acknowledge me for my gifts and my talents and my achievements? Am I just a perpetual, like someone who's just in the crowd, nothing outstanding, I don't have anything to offer, I'm just a loser, and whatever I do just turns to doo-doo? That would be a deep fear. It's understanding. Again, Mary, I can relate to this very closely myself. I feel like I'm giving a reading to myself. So, Mary, I want to give you a big hug here. I want to let you know that if you are feeling seriously down in the dumps about your own self-worth, your own abilities, your love, your lack of love, or why doesn't anybody love me? Why can't I ever advance or go forward? What about my chances in life? What about my opportunities? When am I going to have my chance? When's my good thing going to come to me? And when you have those feelings inside you, it can be like a vice grip on your heart, on your soul, your psyche, everything. Because it's such a scary thing to conceive that, oh my God, I might be insignificant. I might be a loser. What happens if I don't do this, or I never achieve that? What happens if I never have the great love of my life, or I never have the family or the home or the children or the business or the career or the beauty or the looks or the health or the skills that I feel like I should have or should be? That's terrible. So, Mary C., you might have some of my characteristics where I like to go around believing that I'm just freaking awesome. And then sometimes when that doesn't happen, I start to think like, oh my God, I'm deluding myself. I'm a freaking loser. I'm a 10-time, over and over again, loser. So, and I don't like the feeling. And I'm sure if you ever get the feelings that you feel like a loser, you don't like that feeling. But then you end up punishing yourself like, oh God, I'm such a loser. And you start beating yourself, whipping yourself, and that just makes it worse. There's another thing here with the Six of Wands is the fear of success. Okay? It's almost like the fear of putting yourself out there, daring to do things that you've always wanted to do, or daring to go to the next level of something that you already know you like to do or be or live, but you're so frightened of what might happen if you succeed. because you might not have ever been there. It might be a very scary, lonely place. I'm going to share another thing. This is really a very strange reading for me, Mary, because I think that's why I was saying gather all your invisible friends, because I need mine here, because I'm getting a lot of clarity from this reading for myself, okay? So let me show you what I'm trying to say here. Fear of success, okay? I don't know if you're a stunningly talented person or if you have these certain gifts which in theory could have, would have, maybe might have led you to being very like so-called successful in some way, you know, in a career of some kind or whatever, but it never happened. I went through a chapter. I'm just conveying this personally now so that you understand. I understand the fear of success. I've had some incredible opportunities in my life to be incredibly successful, literally, in the world of arts, music, and writing, but especially pop music. And one of the most spectacular episodes was when I had this amazing, genuine, true deal offered to me, brought to me on a platter from heaven. And I threw it away. I now know why I threw it away. That's because I was terrified of being successful. Because if I had become successful, what would have happened? It was something really terrifying to me, was that I would be having to live away from my family and my loved ones. And I felt that if I did that, then my whole family, my mother and father, my brother and sister, I would lose them forever, because I felt like I was a shock absorber to my family, helping my mom and dad to cope with a very difficult life. And that if I was successful, I wouldn't need them anymore. They wouldn't need me, and the family unit would collapse. And I was absolutely terrified of that. I was more terrified of that than I was about being ambitious to be personally successful. And I self-sabotaged. Have you heard of that expression? Self-sabotage. That's 12th house energy. It took me a long time to understand what that meant. Self-sabotage. How I screwed up because I was terrified of success. And I've regretted it ever since. It would have been a completely different life to the one I have. But there is such a thing as fear of success. Okay? So this is like a double-edged card here. It feels to me like the fear of never being successful, also the fear of success. Success. What does it mean? All right, let's have a look. How are we going to deal with this? Because you could be suffering both. The fear of being successful at something and starting it and doing something where, you know, you put your heart and soul into it, and then from experience thinking like, oh, this could collapse any moment. So never, you know, so what's the point in starting if I already know I'm going to fail? You know? How are we going to deal with this? Because it's a very confounding type of energy. It's very, very difficult energy to deal with, okay? So I'm really glad we're having this meeting. I'm so glad you came here tonight, Mary, and you booked this thing, because this is helping me a lot, because you have to reveal it to heal it. If you can't identify the problem, if you can't name it, if you can't understand it, then you can't heal it. So I'm hoping that this reading is bringing some clarity and understanding to the nature of the problems. So when you I'm not saying you have to focus on the problems, but once you understand the nature of the hidden enemy might be fear of success, fear of failure, fear of starting life anew, fear of enterprise, fear of getting up and in the morning and just living your life 100%, because the deep fear of from experience, I already know that by the time I get to dinner, life sucks. So what's the point? I might as well only just put in 10%. I might as well just get used to living a very, very sad, mediocre life. And then that becomes oh my God, I can't do that. That's terrible. That's failure. I can't do that. I have to do something else. And then you go in these like perpetual loops where the problem is never ever solved. Okay, how are we going to deal with this? Okay, so we've got the Temperance card here. My feeling is that the way to handle it is very, very gently. I think the best thing to do, what this reading is telling me to tell you is that it's all about identifying the nature of what is not working for you, so that once it's like when you do diagnostics on a car. Okay, Love Triber has a car right now, and it's making this weird, subtle, funny noise up at the front end. And until it is determined, until it is diagnosed, you can't fix it. So with the Temperance here, it feels like the main theme of what you need to know right now, Mary, is that you need healing. But you need to identify the problem before the healing can occur. And once you have identified it very precisely in the way that we're talking about right now, then that's the only way you can heal it. Once you define it, then you can start very gently healing it. Like if it's a very subtle, very deeply buried problem with the kind of dynamics we talked about here, it's the sort of problem that you're not going to fix it with a sledgehammer. You're not going to fix it by, electroshock therapy or anything like that. It'll be fixed by very, very gentle, compassionate, self-loving types of approach, okay? So it would be almost like, okay, hold on, stay there. So, what do I need to know? The reading is telling me what you need to know is that there is a problem. It needs to be admitted. It needs to be identified. It needs to be put into words so that you can reveal it to heal it. Once you reveal it to heal it, then you can kind of go, now I get it. So what's the process of healing? The process of healing is, to me, it looks like it's a very, very gentle process. Every day, reminding yourself like, oh my God, I've got this very, very deep wound. I'm terrified of success. I'm terrified of failure. Everywhere I go, it doesn't matter what I do. If I try to win, I lose. Even if I do win, I lose. If I do win, I could set myself up for failure. It just becomes an insolvable problem. So you have to kind of really gently, instead of trying to, it's more like a soothing balm. It's almost like you're going to have to find a way to treat yourself very kindly. Maybe a little bit of pampering. With the Temperance card there, it might indicate that maybe you're a little bit hard on yourself, and maybe it's time to I'm not saying self-indulgence or pampering like that, or like having a spa treatment every week, but some kind of little thing which is very, very sweet and loving. Like I have a friend, she's become really quite successful now, and she swears that the thing that helped her most was dedicating like $50 a month to a massage therapy. Every month she goes to this therapist. It's just massage, somebody squishing your body, rubbing your tender spots and blah, blah, blah. And the real magic is the gift to yourself. And I don't know, maybe there's something similar, like something that you would love to do every week or every month, which is all about self-healing. Because no one else is going to do it. It's like you have to bring it upon yourself. That's how it looks to me. A lot of people are terrified of doctors and treatments of any kind. And so they don't go to their doctors or anything, and they just live continuously with their problems. What it looks like to me here to tell you is to like chillax a little bit and deliberately dedicate energy, which is in the form of money and time, to a little bit of self-healing. It might be worth trying. Maybe it's completely out of the budget, but maybe just once, just try it. Dedicate whatever it is, 30, 40, 60 bucks to a really good treatment, massage treatment somewhere nearby you, if there's some kind of service nearby. And trigger the healing process in a very, very hands-on way. So you don't sit there reading books, how do I heal, or like, chanting whatever. It's just literally, you just lie down on the massage table and you let the expert do their thing. And you have to be very, very picky about your massage therapist if you're ever going to do something like that, okay? If you don't like them, if it doesn't feel right, don't go back there. Find someone else, find another place, okay? Okay? But what let me go. I just want to finish off here. But what we're talking about here is, I think, Mary, is we're talking about a wound that is very deep. Like, you're very smart, okay? You're hanging out with the rest of us. We're all loving beings. We kind of understand things at these frequencies where we work. Some people think tarot and astrology is a joke, but I know very, very differently, and most of you know differently too. So my feeling is that we've touched on something like a nerve here, where it's really kind of awkward, embarrassing, and it's almost like I wish I'd never booked the reading, because we wouldn't have to talk about this, because it's such a sensitive subject. But once you reveal it, you can heal it. And to me, it looks like it's very simple. It's about healing the ego, healing the fear, and just treating yourself. Literally trigger the healing. Okay? And then it kind of starts to compound on itself. You think, wow, it's actually worth it. And I'm associating money with it too. I don't even know there's no pentacles here, but it's like treating yourself very nicely. You do it very gently. With the Temperance card here, you do it literally in a very rhythmic way. Just like would happen in a very good massage. You know what? Love Triber told me about a massage therapy that she had. It was like some kind of weird vibrating water bread. Anyway. Also, you know, there's chiropractors. There's all sorts of people. But to me, it feels like it's physical. You need to feel it in your body to get it into your mind and your heart. So that's why I'm thinking about things like massage, chiropractic, maybe some yoga or something like that, where you deliberately take on a healing program of some kind. A monthly massage, a monthly yoga, a weekly yoga, something like that. A spa treatment somebody put in here, like a little pampering or something. Something where you come out feeling just awesome. And you think, wow, it actually does make a difference. And you won't be so scared of failing. You won't be so scared of winning. You'll think like, I don't have to be a rock star by the end of the day. I don't have to be, in debtor's prison by the end of the day. I can just be me. I can just kind of, I can just be me. The way to do that is to deliberately activate the healing principles, the healing forces on your body. No one else is going to do it. You have to award it to yourself. Okay? Thank you, Mary. I hope that helps. Hello, Indigo. Let's have a look here. Indigo Williams. I gotta shuffle up. Ooh, I've got an idea. I'm gonna play a little song. I wrote this song. It's called I Am Healing, I Am Healed. Those are the lyrics. I am healing, I am healed. And I was going to build it out as a really big, long, like 7-minute yoga trance dance kind of thing. Super high quality production. So you're going to have to imagine that for yourselves. But right now I'm just going to play it for you. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. It's called I Am Healing. Oh, where is it? I know I have it. Let's try this. See if this is Let's see if this works. Yeah, this is it. So you can jump up and around, okay? Oh, necessary. Look at just a full Technicolor screen there. Oh man. Let me go back over here. Oh my God. Hello. So, I've got my little furry friend here. I don't know what's happening between me and Bubba right now, but I want to... Hey, Bubba. You want to say hi to everybody? Here, come here. I know you're in some kind of mood. I don't know what it is. Feeling very sensitive right now, okay? I've got little Bubba here, okay? I don't know quite sure what's up, but feels to me like he's very, he's somehow rather, I don't know what it is. But we've kind of formed this very interesting connection. Was it Fritoli or sometimes? Also, Ivona is very close with her animals. I know a few people who have a lot of animals, and you form these connections. That was Bubba, yeah. Bubba is like acutely aware of things, okay? And he's got me totally dialed in. There's also Bonnie. She's wonderful. There's Boo Boo. He's wonderful. And then there's Bubba. But anyway, sorry about that. Does Bubba want a reading? Yeah, maybe I should give him a reading. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's something going on with Bubba today. It's like he's acutely aware, and he's been like staring at me with deep concern. I think and I had to kind of get detached quite a few times today, and I might be reading too much into it, but it's like he's been very laser focused on me recently. It's always like he's like this, like almost like he's saying, "Are you okay?" Because I'm not okay, and if I'm not okay, it might mean that you're not okay, and I'm just picking up on it because I'm a cat, and it's a full moon, and I'm sensitive. You know, I'm not sure what it is, but anyway. Also, another thing, it's very close to his dinner time, so well, it might be something to do with it too. Anyway, I saw you. Yeah, so, like you were saying, Necessary, this is, to me, sacred geometry. This is a classic example. It's a very dazzling example of sacred geometry, because sometimes when you look at the astrological charts, it's all kind of a hodgepodge. There's stuff all over the place. But when you get something like this, it's really quite profound. And for myself personally, I've been feeling like super hypersensitive to the sweet things in my life. I'm extremely aware of how fortunate I am in so many things. And yet I'm also aware about the deep scarring and all the nasty, horrible things that have happened to me in my life, especially in the context of relationships and betrayal in relationships, and treachery, loss, and failure. And so I'm not forcing the issue, but I'm opening myself up to being more and more aware of them. Okay, so this applies to the whole of planet Earth. Every fish, every goat, every tree, every horse, every whale, every animal, every human being is impacted by this energy. Okay, think of the moon. Okay, this is the obvious one, of course. You think of the moon, you think of the movement of the tides. Can you think how many trillions of gallons of water are shifted around planet Earth every day as the moon zooms around? When the moon is over here, wherever the moon is, that's where the high tide is. The tide is going to move over here to another part of the surface of the Earth. And the tides are very precisely measurable for people who are involved in, ocean sailing, ocean navigation, shipping, and all of that. Cheers, everybody. Indigo Williams, you're up next. So, Indigo, I hope you're still here. Can you see the... can you type in, let us know? Hey, Indigo, if you're not here and you've had to go to bed or something, don't worry, you're going to get your reading anyway. I'm just going to do a totally blind reading. Maybe the show, maybe the channel is very, very slow on the, delays with the stream. I don't really know, but oh, there's Ivona. Hold on. Ivona, Cancer looks like. What's going on? What's this, Ivona? What? What is that? One of your outdoor friends is very sick. Oh. 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 Oh, man. Indigo, are you here? Is Indigo here? I'm trying to do Indigo's reading. Indigo, are you here? Checking the chat. I don't. Oh, there you are. Ah. Okay. Oh, hi. Okay. So Indigo, it seems like there's a very long delay on the stream here tonight. So it took about 40 seconds for the message to reach you, and then you could type it in and it'll just bounce back here. When you type, it comes back here almost instantly. But when I'm speaking, like this for now, sometimes it can take 40, 45, 50 seconds to reach you. So, anyway, let's see. All right, so Indigo, there was no message on your PayPal donation. That's okay. We can go totally blind if you want. What are the messages for Indigo tonight through Tarot Illumination? But what is it? What's it going to look like? And I'm happy to do that. Now, if you've got a particular subject, if you can put it in one word, like what messages do you have for me tonight, Tarot Illumination, regarding the subject of ... and that's like one word, like finances, or my spirit, or my child, or my mother, or whatever it is, I don't know. Just type one word in. We don't have to. If you just want me to go blind, just go for it. Just go for it. And you'll get your reading anyway. Oh, they're talking about the cats. Oh dear. In the last few months, I've had so many encounters. I don't want to go into my pet stories because some of them are very painful. Very, very painful. I need to get off the subject. You guys carry on. You can chat as much as you want, but I'm going to go over here and work with Indigo. See what's coming up. All right. What kind of messages do we have tonight for Indigo? Okay, let's go blind. You're a brave soul. Thank you. All right, let's have a look. Okay, indigo. Let's have a look what's going on here. That last reading was kind of interesting, having all the invisible friends for Mary, and I had mine here. It's like we had to share this that reading had to be shared. Thank you, Mary. All right, let's have a look, indigo. All right, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. I'm going to shuffle this over here a bit, give myself some more room. And then let's have a look at the weather. I'm going to relate back to the sacred geometry in just a second. Justice. It is time. The way I feel it here for you, indigo, it is time to get things in order. To get, let's say, stability back into your life. This is a really golden opportunity. If you've been suffering from, let's say, okay, look at it this way, the inverse. Dear indigo, if you have been suffering from some kind of severe injustice in life, whatever it is, financial, emotional, relational, spiritual, or where you feeling, for example, I'm going to personalize this again a little bit. For example, I think there's a lot of very, very dark, evil, sinister things happening on planet Earth right now, to the point where I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. And I feel qualified to say that. Now, if you're in a similar situation where you're starting to feel as though there's a lot of very, I would say, evil, unjust things happening in your life, in your world, on the global scale, but also on the very personal, private scale, that has to be acknowledged. And I see that reflected here. I'm going to use this again. This allows me, I give myself permission as an enthusiast for Western basic astrology. What I'm doing here is I'm giving myself permission to take advantage of this very crystalline, pure structure here to see both sides of the story. You can look around and you can see all the wonders of the earth, the amazing things that we have here on earth in terms of human history, the technology, the miracles of mass production and food, and how you can have, orange juice 24/7, 365 all year round in America. How there's gasoline, electricity, water, telephones, communications, Netflix. We're living in a very, very, let's say, what's the word for it? So in some ways, a sort of a golden age. But it feels to me that we're living in a golden age of radical change, where sometimes the only way you can recognize that you're in a golden age is when you're presented by something which is very sinister, dark, evil, and just the opposite of a golden age, because it is happening simultaneously. So for you in this reading, when I see justice, my feeling is that it's like what would be really nice for you is to bring things into alignment, bring things into awareness, into clarity, stark clarity in your life, where you have to kind of ruthlessly define what is fake and what is real in my life. This is a tremendous opportunity for let's bring, to address all the injustices in your life and start to bring justice to your life. Mostly by identifying that which is just and good and wholesome and worthy and valuable and really sweet about your life. There has to be something. And then, to be aware of how valuable that is, you contrast that with all the things that are truly unjust, like it might be the politics, the finances, the relationship dynamics, the career, the work, where there was some very bitter, unjust experience, actions, or cruelty, or something like that. It's time to acknowledge the truth about what it really is, so that you're not walking around living a life pretending like horrible, evil things don't happen and everything is wonderful all the time. It's time to be aware that both things are happening simultaneously. I believe right now the planet Earth is saturated in some of the most evil energy fields that I've ever been aware of in my whole life. But they are packaged as benevolence. So it's very unjust. And there's a lot of lies going on, okay? So that needs to be acknowledged. We need to acknowledge everything that is unjust in your life and start to bring justice to what is unjust, okay? It doesn't mean you're going to get reparations. It doesn't mean you're going to suddenly be like insanely happy or you're going to inherit $1 million or something like that. It just means getting things right. This is unjust. This is unacceptable. This is just. This is good. You can't afford to live in mediocrity. You can't afford to live anymore in denial of what is unjust and pretending that things are okay. It's not allowed. Oh gosh, I can see the chat. This is... ouch. All right, let's keep going. Indigo. What's the situation itself? Wow, Ace of Wands here in the beginning. This to me feels very much to do with desire. Like, we just had a full moon, okay? And it might be, because in some ways it's a very benevolent full moon. Personally, I'm very acutely aware of all the red and the orange here. I can't help it. I deliberately open myself to receive the energies, all of it, simultaneously. I don't live my life as though it's always in the green all the time. I understand that these things are happening simultaneously. So when I see this, the Ace of Wands here in your reading, it's almost like my job as your reader is to inform you that no matter how bad it is, no matter how much you've been screwed over, no matter how much injustice you have had in your life, or if you're dealing with battle scars and damage that is going to last the rest of your life, in other words, a non-healing wound. I mean, that happens to a lot of people. There are a lot of tragedies that leave you scarred for life. The best thing to do is acknowledge that. And then, okay, so that's how it is. Maybe I did get screwed over. But what this little moment here is telling us, just for this fragment of moment in time, for these like 24, 36-hour period here, where this is happening, this is about a 24, 36-hour period where we have this, there is still goodness, okay, out there somewhere, somehow. And it's your job, it's your responsibility to tap into it. You have to find a way to spot the opportunities, identify what is good for you, what works for you, and focus your attention there and go in that direction. You cannot afford to let yourself be a victim of all the injustice in your life. If that's a habit, then it's a bad habit and it needs to stop. What's the problem here? Okay, it looks to me like you're having some profound, extreme sense of self-doubt about your own beauty, wonder, awesomeness, femininity. Like, this is like the energy of serious girl power. I'm assuming you are female. I don't know why I'm assuming that. Okay. So it's like that maybe this could be something as simple as like, oh, I'm scared of growing old. I'm scared of losing my natural charms. I'm scared of never being able to tap into my most, let's say, glorious, delicious, abundant version of myself. I'm scared that no one's ever going to recognize me for how awesome I really am. It's almost like the fear that I missed it. A deep, deep fear that I missed my chance. I missed my opportunity. I'll never get it back again. Oh no, oh no, oh no. How am I going to... How on earth can I possibly get back into my own, like, glorious, wonderful, awesome self? Oh no, oh no, oh no. Am I loving? Am I loved? Am I lovable? Is anybody going to love me? Am I going to be able to love anybody? Am I ever going to be truly appreciated? Am I ever going to tap into my power? Do I even have any power to tap into? Oh no, oh no, oh no. I'm really glad you let me do a blind reading, Indigo. Because I feel like I can almost say what I want, so long as I don't get shut down by YouTube. In some ways, I feel these energies are very contradictory. Okay, you said you're in Aries, okay? Well, we're in Aries season right now, okay? I'll show you again. Here. We're in Aries season right now, and you're in Aries, okay? And you are female. The Aries energy is over here, and your energy of selfhood is being fully, totally opposed by the Libra moon over here. Okay? So, Necessary Truth is saying, Libra's all about balance. Go forward in action with a new start, and we'll give you the just desserts. Okay? Justice is moving forward. I would definitely take heed of those notes. So, there's all sorts of characteristics associated with Aries, like shoot first, ask questions later. And number one, I am right, and I know I'm right. And then having that to be questioned. It's like you might be at a point where you're let's just say in your optimal self, in your full glory, you're just awesome. When you are in your element, when you are in the zone, when you are Indigo Williams, without any impediments like fear or anything, you're just, you're a firebrand. You're a lighthouse. You bring hope, inspiration to others because you just go off and live your life. Kind of like the energy of like being almost like a superhero. And you're not doing it to overpower or show off or anything like that. It's just because it's very satisfying to live a good life. It's very satisfying to be in your power, in the zone, and live in that power. But it's almost like it's a real roller coaster. Like if you get any fragmentary moments of self-doubt, you can go from here to here really quickly. Like, oh my God. Like a serious roller coaster energy. So I guess like Necessary said, it's about kind of balance. Like, in a way, the Aries energy, they can't help themselves. You just have to go and be you. You just have to constantly bust out there and be you and worry about the consequences later. Sometimes that doesn't work very well. It's very easy to, like, let's say, like, have accidents. Relationship accidents, emotional accidents or something. And also, here's another thing about what I'm sensing here. If you have a very naturally strong, vibrant nature, and you don't like being screwed over, you don't like anybody messing with you or trying to get one over on you, and let's say your natural tendency is to, let's say, be successful and want justice and do good and have, give yourself permission to live your life and to be you. Well, like when you do have those moments, if you just have a tiny moment of self-doubt, it's almost like you can crash really badly. So you have to be careful of that. And if you crash really badly, it's like being I don't know, I'm trying to think like a race car driver or something. Like a race car driver, and a really good race car drivers, they win. And then they win again, and then they win again. And then they keep going around, and then they win again. But every now and again, they're going to fail. Someone's going to beat them. And that can be very devastating. And so the real mark of the winner is, how do they get back into the game again, the game of life, the sport of life, the fun of life, the adventure of life, the opportunity of life, once you've had an experience of deep failure and loss. Just the slightest experience of failure and loss could be like devastating for you. And then you would be catapulted into a period of extreme self-doubt, like, good God, I'm just not beautiful enough. I don't have enough strength. I don't have enough power. I'm a freaking loser. I'm never going to get back in the game of life ever again. And then you have to. You have to. Oh, you just turned 30? Thank you. Let's see. Hold on. So you just had your Saturn return. Uh-huh. Interesting. Well, that's a whole other conversation. The age in your life, about 29 and a half to 30, to almost somewhere in there, it would be this culmination point associated with the Saturn cycle. Okay, so if you're Saturn, whatever it is, okay, so here's Saturn in Aquarius right now. Today, right now, Saturn is in Aquarius. And it has about a 29 and a half year cycle. So it's very possible that you were born with Saturn in Aquarius. And it took about 29 and a half years from the moment that you were born for Saturn to come around all the way back to the point at the same degree to when you were born about 29 and a half years ago. So that's probably a whole other reading some other day, some other time, but we can do that. If you want a personal reading, help yourself, go to tarotlumination.com, because the Saturn return, especially your first Saturn return, is a critical time in life for most people. It's like a serious landmark moment. So if you are at a point where you're thinking like, you know what, I know I'm awesome. I know I get up every day and I face life and I do it, but every now and again I crash and burn, and I have these periods of extreme self-doubt, and you look in the mirror and it's almost like I'm disgusted with myself. This is not acceptable. I'm a freaking loser. I'm awesome. I'm a failure. There's so much injustice. Like, it's not acceptable. It can't be done. It's not allowed. To me, it looks kind of like this. Okay? But the thing about this reading is that, to me, it feels like we're bringing some light. We're shedding light on it. We need to be aware. You need to be aware that, I guess, life does happen in cycles. There are ups and downs. If you're just turning 30, I guarantee you just lived through your Saturn return. So there might be some very, let's say, pivotal experiences in your life where you're coming to this point of awareness like, oh my God, wow, now I really see who I am. Yeah, I can be a winner. I'm naturally a winner. I like to win. I like to succeed. I like to be happy. I like to be me. I like to go out and live life. But every now and again, if I fail, it's like I crash and burn, and I have extreme doubts about my own beauty, my own wonder, my own talents, my own gifts, my own fertility, my own awesomeness. And that all relates to going back to the understanding of the whole concept of justice in this world. It's happening simultaneously. At the same time that this beautiful green kite is happening, there is this extremely challenging thing here. I don't know what this pattern is called. This red pattern here is very hyper stressful and challenging at the same time that this is happening. With the yod here, this is called a finger of God, this aspect here. It's asking you to look at your relationships. And so it's like it's important to acknowledge. It doesn't mean you have to go up to somebody and say, hey, what do you think of me? Am I gorgeous enough? Am I talented enough or anything? Do you think I'm ever going to make it? You don't have to go begging for it or asking for it like that, but you need to, to me it looks like it's really important to learn how to measure yourself, your sense of identity, who you are, by taking into account and including the reflections that you get back to you from other people. For example, let's just say you're naturally very self-confident, and then something goes wrong, and inside of you, the way you deal with it is by saying, oh, well, they screwed me over, or they screwed up, or like, they're just losers. But if you depersonalize it, and something goes bad, horrible in your life, and you realize like, whoa, maybe the bigger way to look at it is like, how did I appear to them? As opposed to like, how do they appear to me? So like for a moment, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to an Aries, but like, why would I put myself in someone else's shoes? That would be an Aries question. Like, why on earth would I look at myself through someone else's shoes, someone else's perspective? Why don't I just live my life? But what this reading is telling me is that it would really help to kind of stand back, evaluate your life as it stands right now from a very neutral perspective, and then consider like, like all the bad things that might have happened to you in a relationship, instead of saying, well, they did this, they did that, they did that, they did this, and it's no wonder shit happened. Instead, it might be like, well, okay, I did that, they did this, I did that. And that changes everything once you take into account the other person, the counterparty. I'm dealing with an Aries person right now in a very heavily conflicted situation regarding the police and courts and fraud and theft right now. And this person is extremely gifted at turning everything around as though he's always right all the time. It makes it very hard to proceed. But I'm proceeding anyway. Let's go over here. So it looks like we're dealing with a little bit of a contrast. This is sort of about you getting used to being yourself, okay? understanding who you really are, but sometimes you can only do that through the process of reflection in relationships that you would only get through the lens of another person. So let's just say this is your energy over here. It would be really, really valuable and important right now for you to take into account the perspective of the counterparty. In other words, you cannot discount their reflections back to you or their perspectives back to you. In other words, if they're challenging you in any way, or you're discovering that certain people in certain places, whatever reason, are, let's say, I'm not going to say the enemy, but there's, let's say, some conflict there, it's important to understand that you're part of the equation. In other words, to have a fight, I mean, you can have a fight with yourself, but in conflict, in battle, in war, it's usually one party against another party. And the other party has reasons to be at war with you, just like you might have reasons to be at war with the other party. And then that's what they call war. Aries is the warrior, okay? How do we deal with this? Okay, so we got the Sun card here. This is a really kind of strong reading in a way, Indigo, where with all these major arcana here and the Ace, it tells me, like, okay, I'm just gonna go with the flow here. It tells me, like, I'm just kind of acting as a conduit right now, but you need to be aware of your own strength, your own light, your own power, okay? You need to be aware of how that can turn against you. If you have moments of self-doubt, you can go down into the hole really deep, fast, and big, and bad, and then you have to struggle to get out of that. You have to be aware that you're living in a world where however much justice there is out there, and when you're staying on the positive side and the light and the good, there's also a tremendous amount of what is essentially the absence of love. Love is everywhere, and the only time it goes bad is when there is the absence of love. And there are people on planet Earth right now who have tremendous power, wealth, control, and influence, and they have no love. There's no love there at all. They are hollow souls. And it's happening simultaneously. So you look at the world as a big picture, like, my God, I'm swimming in the same world as everyone else. It's just as beautiful as it is ugly. There's some amazing things. It's an amazing thing that we are to be human beings on this planet. I mean, statistically, I don't care what they're saying on the UFO channels or whatever. There is no hard proven evidence that there's anything like that, like planet Earth, out there in the universe today with what we call conscious biological life, where we have this thing that we call consciousness, soul, spirit. There's nothing out there. Planet Earth is an extremely unique thing. Some people would say I'm being very arrogant to say that. I don't think so. I used to study science, like science, math, chemistry, physics, biology, math when I was a kid. And it's empirical. You know, numbers don't lie. And, you know, however many movies you see about aliens and whatever, from my personal perspective, as much as it would be exciting to have aliens and out there, I personally don't believe in it. It doesn't mean they're not there, but I don't believe in it because I see no evidence, no matter what anybody tells me. And so we have to deal with being these amazing beings that we are on this amazing planet that we call Earth. And one of the most amazing things is like this sense of awareness, like I am me, I am who I am. But you don't know who you are mostly until you get reflection from other people. And so When I see the Sun card here, how do you deal with the situation? It's like, let's wake up, let's go to the next level, okay, Indigo? Let's pretend we've just encapsulated the whole of your life in 3 little tiny tarot cards. Yeah, I'm awesome. I'm Indigo Williams. I am freaking amazing. I know it. I was born this way. I can't help it. That's just who I am. That's how I am. Secretly, Tarot Illumination, I'm going to admit to you that every now and again, I have moments of extreme self-doubt. I might not be quite as awesome as I think I am, or I thought I am, or that I believe I am, that I know I am. That's not acceptable. I'm starting to realize that that is a kind of a parallel story to what's happening in the world in general. There are some amazing things on planet Earth, and at the same time there's some despicable evil that is so off the charts, it's just almost impossible to imagine so much evil. So how are we going to deal with that? You make a decision. You wake up every day, you look like, oh, today's another opportunity. Yes, I might crash and burn, and I might have extreme self-doubt now and again. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my position with humanity? Maybe, if you're born, I don't know, I'm just really going off on it here. Indigo, if you're born with Saturn in Aquarius and you're having your first Saturn in return, it might be a message about how, you might be, very good at being yourself. But the question is well, what about the community? If you're born with Saturn in Aquarius, it's like being tested in terms of relevance to the community. Okay, over here. So it's like you're being tested. I know it sounds like I'm going off on a tangent, kind of ranting here, but I think you need to hear this. I think you need to know this. It's just like, okay, if I am this awesome, and I know it, and if I admit that I have doubts every now and again, then there must be a reason why this is happening. The reason why it's happening, my feeling, is because you do have a lot to offer, somewhere, somehow. The question is, it offering all about you, how you can be is it for you, or is it for the people? Are you here for you? Are you here for just glory? Are you here on planet Earth in this lifetime just for self-aggrandizement, just to be rich and gorgeous and beautiful or everything? Or are you here to be happy and to be a light and to be a beacon of light and hope for other people that are not you? In other words, are you here to share your light with the world rather than try to get more light for yourself? Do you see what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. I hope I don't hurt your feelings here, but hold on, give me a second. This is going to be my last reading of the night. Mona, I can't do it anymore. So we'll put it on the tab. Good morning, Mona, over there in Norway. Hello, by the way. So maybe we can do something in the middle of the week or tomorrow or the day after, okay? Please email me. I know you have my email. Anyway, Indigo. This is going to sound silly, but it's all about me. Me. Nothing. But there's something bigger going on, okay? My feeling is that you're naturally kind of pretty self-convinced of your own awesomeness. You're aware that there's a lot of evil and injustice. And sometimes when things go wrong, you can be completely crushed and devastated and have extreme doubt. But you somehow or other find a way to come back again. And that's an amazing gift. And here's the tricky part about the reading. Are you going to use that gift purely for self-aggrandizement? Or are you going to use that gift as a way to show others how to be awesome? and then to forgive yourself every now and again when you do fail. Something to think about. Some people are born with amazing gifts and amazing talent, and then all they want to do is load up on more, and then it turns into greed and lust and power, and it gets insane. The lust for power and greed and control and money starts to amplify, where they start selling off their soul just to get more and more power, control, and money. And the further and further they go on that pathway, the more and more hollow these people become. Now, you're not on that pathway. But all I think the reading here is doing is basically saying, like, hey, Indigo, like, you're blessed. Okay? You're blessed in some way, shape, or form or other. Maybe you do have reasons to feel doubt. But the real test is, like, are you here just for you, or are you here to participate with humanity? And in which case, what's that going to look like? If you have natural gifts to succeed and be awesome and gorgeous or whatever, are you going to try and feed on humanity just to amplify that thing for yourself? Or are you going to share that gift and say, well, listen, I'm no different from you. How can I help you guys who are suffering? I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, okay? But I'm just trying to present a picture regarding Saturn in Aquarius, your Saturn return, and these little 4 tiny tarot cards, and the story that it's telling me to tell you. I hope this helps you in some way, shape, or other, okay? Did that make sense? I hope I didn't go around in too many circles and in and out or whatever. Your job, to me it looks like the way to handle whatever's not working in your life, the way to handle the injustice, the moments of failure and extreme self-doubt, is to remind yourself that you're freaking awesome, and it is your day job to live like in your most awesome, glorious ways possible. And accept that every now and again you're going to fail and you're going to suffer from extreme self-doubt, but you're going to get back up again and keep going. And if you can do it, then you can show other people how to do it. So to me it feels like the message is to, it's like conditioning. Learn how to accept and live with failure every now and again, like an experience of failure or loss. Don't take it personally, and share your winnings, share your light with the community. It's almost like being a sports coach or something. You might not be the best expert at whatever it is, basketball or hockey or something, or some kind of sport or game or skill or whatever in life, a career, some kind. But you do know how to win. You do know how to achieve. You do know how to win. And sometimes, like, I know a guy he's a rugby coach. He's too old to play now. But what he's really good is helping people come into their light by kind of sharing his light, sharing his way to be. Understanding that things are really rough and unjust sometimes, but that's not the end of the world. Your job is still to shine your light and be that light despite the injustice. Your job is not to try and get more light and power for yourself, but to bring your light to the community, okay? So in other words, the worse the problems that you have, the worse your self-doubt, the more you have to go back and look in the mirror and remind yourself, jeepers, I remember that reading from TL. Yes, I am awesome. And I'm just going to go back to being awesome. And I'm going to prove if I can do it, anybody can. Yay! And that's kind of almost like the definition of success in winning. There you go, Indigo. I hope that helped you. Thank you very much. It's been wonderful. Thank you for letting me read for you. Thank you for saying it's spot on. It's like having an excellent review on Yelp. Okay, I'm just going to shuffle the deck and clean it up because I'm pretty much done for the night. I hope to see you guys again soon. I'd love to chat with some newbies and offer my services again. If you need anything, go to tarotillumination.com. The website will take you where you need to go. There's a little shop. You can buy leggings, a scarf, a shirt, all sorts of things. You can book private readings, all sorts of stuff. Thank you so much for everyone who donated by Super Chat. Thank you so much for the folks who donated by PayPal. I'm glad to see that it's actually working. Take care, everybody. I'm going to say goodnight now. That's it. I'm just going to wrap it up over here. No, that's not the screen freezing. That's me freezing up. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, so okay, I'm gonna kind of do a little. I'll see if I could get a song here. It's called "I Am Worthy." I am worthy. Nope, sorry. Let me try. I am W-O. Oh, wow. I don't know what this... please forgive me. I'm going to play this thing. I don't know if it's actually going to work or not. Let me see. I don't know if this is actually going to happen. I haven't... Hold on. As you know, I'm an aspiring pop star. I'm about 5 generations out of my time zone, but I still feel like I would love to have a hit record and a pop star. I've written lots of songs, and I've had the opportunity to be very wealthy in the world of songs, but I've got a little tune here. The title of the song is I Am Worthy. And I'm just going to, the main lyrics are, let's see if I can do this. I am worthy. I am deserving. I am open to receive. I am ready. I am willing. I am able to receive. I'm just going to try and play the chorus, see what happens, just for thrills. This is just shitty sound, crappy guitar in the background. But if you can imagine it with a really premium production and everything. Hold on. I am worthy, I am deserving, I am willing, open to receive. Okay, forget it, forget it, never mind. As you can see, I need a lot of help. I'm accepting huge donations from multimillionaires. You never know who's watching. I don't know, might as well ask. I'm worthy, I am deserving, I'm open to receive, I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm able to receive. There you go. That's the nature of the song. Obviously, we're very far away from full production. Let me find another tune. Hold on, stay right there. I have to find a way to get out of this gracefully. Oh. You know what? I could do the Nikki song. You know, because she likes it. It's 7. Oh, it's really long. Hold on. Finding, well, I'm recycling old songs now. Give me a second. We've had quite an emphasis on healing and winning tonight, so I'm going to play I Am Healing. No, sorry, it's another one. It's called, sorry, this one's called Fighting Well. Let's see if that works. Yes! Wow.
Oh